Hey guys, it's Jay. Welcome back to the channel. Uh, I just got done hanging out with the great folks over at Geek the F Out, who are in the chat, by the way. Honestly, Kayla and Jimmy, all those great guys. They were, man. It was so much fun. I got to see with Shiny Plastic People and oh gosh, I can't remember his can't remember the name of his channel, but lots of great people who were there. I think Kayla can give the shout outs to everybody in the chat. Again, had a huge wonderful. We were just talking about Ahsoka. It was so much fun, and all the great things. Of course, I am terrible at this stuff. I spoiled everybody rotten. Like seriously, everything that I could spoil, I spoiled it like crazy. So that's on me. Those are my own problems. So huge huge apologies go my way, everyone's way who I recently ruined. Your your Star Wars experience because it wasn't Star Trek tonight. But it was a blast, guys. Definitely go like and follow and subscribe to Geek the F Out. Wonderful YouTube channel. They do deep dives on a whole bunch of different sci-fi shows, and I think they're getting into like other shows as well. But Star Trek is a big thing for them right now. And just a lot of fun. Huge shout out to everybody who was there tonight. Awesome stuff. So thank you guys. But I think Labor Day weekend here for Canada for us Canadians. I believe it's the same thing for Americans. I'm not 100% sure. Somebody like my guests are probably going to be able to educate me on that. But I think that there's going to be a long weekend for many of us. So great little bit of time for us to relax and catch up on shows, catch up on so many things. As a matter of fact, it's a great weekend to play with toys. Of course, it's a great weekend. When is not a great weekend to play with toys? But one of the things I wanted to examine for tonight, especially, is of course independent toy creators, and are they the future? Because coming back from PowerCon, it was an experience. It was an eye-opening experience, man. Like it was crazy coming back from a PowerCon, which has literally become in a lot of ways the independent toy creator hub. Like it is literally just a sea and a literal cornucopia of toy creators there, and not just customizers. Even though there were a lot of them there were a lot of customizers. There were a lot of local community members who were just there to show off their wares and stuff like that. But there was a lot of up and coming independent toy companies, and I was just blown away at the camaraderie. The whole community was there, and it really just had this amazing feel of community there. But the level of craftsmanship, the level of workmanship, the level of creativity that was there was bleeding through the entire convention, and I wanted to talk about that tonight. So I want to bring in a couple of my special guests tonight who can help me navigate these waters of the independent toy scene. I want to bring in my very special guest who's been here multiple times. You guys know him. He's a champion of the wonderful series called Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. And of course, he's been here multiple times on the channel. Guys, please help me welcome my very good friend, Brick Something, to the channel. What's going on, Brick?
I'm good. I'm championing these amazing independent toys, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. How's it going, Jay? Thank you once again for having me on the
Brick,
channel.
anytime, Brick. Always having you on the channel is so much fun.
Yeah, thanks.
But I know that you're a huge AWOK fan, and of course, you're always talking about AWOK. You have all these great animatics and videos about the lore and what it's about, and you and Highly Articulated are really big on this. But then it's not just Spero that you're into. You're into a whole bunch of different toy brands and independent creators. And yeah, exactly. We're we're Mythic Legions and so many different really good stuff. Even yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just so much stuff. And there's so much of it out there. But how do you keep it all together? Like, how do you pick and choose? Or is it just something catches your eye and you're just on top of it? Yeah.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's tough because there definitely are a lot of creators. And I think that speaks to the topic tonight. Really, like this wasn't the case, like 5 years ago?
No.
Just 5 years ago, this wasn't the case.
Crazy.
And so, yeah, it's definitely gotten heavy the last 2 or 3 years, I'd say.
Absolutely.
And, as we'll get into tonight, it's not just it's definitely North America is doing its thing, but there's a bunch of stuff all over the globe coming at us, whether it's like in
100%.
Europe or
Yeah.
Asia. So it is hard, but
Yeah,
man, we're
and you know,
spoiled.
there are creators in America, there are creators in Canada, there are creators all over the world who are making
Yep.
some amazing moves and
Yeah.
some amazing figures. Um, and you know what? It's not easy. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of creators have to turn to Kickstarter to actually get things done, almost exclusively now.
Yep. Yep.
But if it wasn't for Kickstarter, I think that independent creators would have a much harder time getting their ideas to market. I think it would be a very difficult thing.
Absolutely. And again, we'll get into it tonight, but as you've
Absolutely.
done some great coverage just this week around Eternia's Choice coming up
Oh,
on
crazy,
Tuesday,
crazy.
the big ones, Mattel and Hasbro, they've caught on to some of
Yeah,
the indie
yeah,
tricks of
yeah.
the pre-marketing and the crowdfunding. So
And I want to
I
talk about that too.
yeah, we see the influence. The influence is
yeah,
there.
and should they even be involved in that? Is there a reason why they're doing it, or do they just see this as another avenue to fund the projects that they have?
Love it.
Speaking of projects that need funding and need some support, I did want to bring in a couple of special guests who have actually gone that route in one form or another. And I wanted to bring in my first special guest, who we did meet at PowerCon. He was there showcasing his wonderful display options for collectors, and he's bringing in some new options for people. He doesn't have much time left on his own crowdsource project, but I just wanted to let everybody know about some of the things that he's doing right now. Guys, please help us welcome Travis from HexaStack. What's going on, Travis? How you doing tonight? You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, still getting the hang of this, guys.
There you
Hey,
go,
thank
brother.
you.
How are you?
Thank you
How are you
so
doing,
much.
Travis? Good to see you.
I'm good, guys. I'm very good. Just getting situated here at home. Excited to be joining you guys. Luckily, had the chance to meet you, Jay, in person at PowerCon, and Brick. One of these days, we'll get together too. I'm sure. I'm making
Yeah,
the
for
tours.
sure.
Absolutely. So excited I was so excited to see you there. How's it been going so far, Travis? I know you only have about 6, maybe 5 days left on the campaign. Yeah.
Yep.
We're
Yeah,
going to talk a little
just
bit
under a
more
week.
about that, but I think you have things to show us tonight, later to the show, or some things
Yeah.
that you can talk about. So
Yeah, absolutely. A ton of stuff coming. I'll show them off a little bit later. Kick over to another camera here where you can see a better view, higher quality. But having gone to PowerCon, having had the chance to meet with a number of professionals in the manufacturing industry, kind of heard things from the consumers and some recommendations to the product as itself to make sure that it is future proof with the long-term goal of being, not even long-term, the short-term goal of getting things to injection molding. So that's the direction right now. Everything's 3D resin printed, but the goal is to get that to the injection molding. And I've already found a partner that I'm very excited to work with. He's got experience in the industry, and he's going to help us make this come to fruition once we have the funding in place. So just some things that I had taken recommendations from to improve the overall product. So I'll be showing those off tonight. I think people will be excited.
yeah, huge thanks to Silver K for throwing up that link. Yeah, guys, definitely check out the Kickstarter on kickstarter.com/project/hexastack/hexastack. What the heck is with that? That is one strange little URL they give you.
Yeah.
That is a funny one. So and you know what? Continuing the AWOK feel, we have another special guest here who is just rolling with all of the lore and all of the background story of the animal warriors of the kingdom. And we just found out that he is taking on a crazy role with Spero Toys. He's doing some crazy things. I wanted to bring in our good friend, highly articulated, into the scene. What's going on, Adam? How are you tonight?
I'm well-ish. I'm well enough. A bit of a cold, but I will survive. I'll suffer through it. It's a pleasure to be on. I'm happy to chat toys whenever.
Always great to see highly articulated in the house. I'm sorry to hear you're under the weather a bit. Are you on the mend? Like how is it going with that? No. Oh no.
No, I picked up a cold from my 1-year-old yesterday.
Oh my
so
goodness.
I'm on the ascending end of the cold. I'm hoping that it kind of peaks tomorrow and then I can kind of come over the other side. But I'm thankful that I tend to not get hit as hard by the illnesses in my household as the kids and my wife. So I'm usually able to kind of navigate them pretty well. So.
Well, you don't even sound sinusy. You sound pretty good actually from this end. I don't like last time I heard you, but I guess you're.
I don't know if that's a compliment or if that means that my normal voice just sounds bad.
I don't know
because I can hear it, but maybe it's.
I don't know. You sound pretty good to me, and I hope you're not sniffling or anything like that. It's
no. I've been lucky. I've been lucky. Last night I was a little bit more sniffly, but I'll try to keep it in check.
Okay. And of course, you are a huge fan of the independent toy scene yourself, Adam. Yeah. And lots of things we can talk about tonight. But since we got two people who are AWOK experts, I figured we might as well just bring in a whole. We might as well just make this a trifecta here, guys. Why don't we help welcome Jason from Spero Toys? Jason, what's going on, my friend? How you doing?
How's it going, everybody?
Man, I haven't talked to you in ages, Jason.
I know, right? It's almost been like 6 hours. It's a new record.
You guys are working very, very closely together now, and you know it's so great to see all these wonderful independent toys coming to fruition. Jason, let us give us a little bit of insight. How's it been? What's the journey been like for Spero, and what led to this whole idea of the toys for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom? Like how did that all come about?
Yeah, I mean, I actually, the first thing I did was I made a comic book, and whenever I was doing the character design, I thought, well, maybe I should take a little bit of inspiration from the, like Moto, where the characters are just so toy centric, like they're just meant to be toys. So I really kind of took the approach of like, hey, these might be toys one day. And 11 years later, here we are, but yeah, we did the whole Kickstarter thing, and it's funny while you're in the actual Kickstarter and everything, and you're feeling all the excitement and the adrenaline and everything of talking about the potential of making everything, and then the Kickstarter ends, and then you realize, oh my goodness, now we have to do we have to bring this to fruition, in our case, we had been working on the project for about 6 months before we went live. So basically as soon as the Kickstarter ended, I think within a couple of hours, we were sending over files to the factory. And usually you send over, it's about like 95 to 90% finalized stuff. There's a lot of technical stuff like engineering and stuff that they'll take, kind of carry it over the goalpost. But yeah, I mean, like that Kickstarter just did so much better than we were expecting, and I was excited and relieved that we planned ahead, because towards the end of the Kickstarter, I was staying up till 3 a.m. to try to get stuff painted and photographed, and so that we could like actually show the unlocked figures or figures that were about to get unlocked. In some cases, we just had like 2D art for a couple of days before I could catch up. So that whole experience was a real pleasure. It was super exciting. I didn't realize how tired I was and how much energy had kind of zapped out of me until, probably the last day. I was just beat. It felt like it took about 2 weeks to really recover from it. But, after the Kickstarter ended, we really started the journey of bringing all these toys to life. And, I'm sure you guys can imagine, but we've been just so busy. Once the product, reached the warehouse and we're able to start fulfilling items and sending stuff out, it's just been absolutely wild. Like, there's no such thing as a weekend for us right now. We're just shipping. And there's just a huge demand for it. And so I haven't had a ton of time to like really kind of take in and look at the stuff recently. But I have all the figures and everything, and I picked up Pale the other day, and I kind of looked at it and was like, "Holy crap, we did that! This is so freaking cool!" So yeah, I mean, it's just been absolutely amazing, very surreal and very humbling, and exciting and relieving to like have such a great reception for our flagship product. And we're working on some really cool stuff we can't talk about yet, but hopefully, hopefully even in the new year we'll be able to kind of talk about some of the stuff we've been cooking up.
That's amazing. So glad to hear that everything's going well with you and Spero Toys. There's been a lot of like it hasn't been but it hasn't been a simple road though. I mean, like there have been a lot of pitfalls and things like that along the way, I would imagine.
Yeah. I think there's like a funny. I think it was like a little cartoon illustration from the '90s where everyone like thinks that the road to success is just this like straight hill where you're climbing, but it's like pitfalls and all kind of obstacles and craziness. And I had mentioned that we had sent our tooling and stuff, and everything was pretty much ready, but we had interesting delays where like the butterfly joints, we had to have like a specialist come in and like really tweak the tooling because it was either too loose or too tight. And that was for wave 1. And then for wave 2 for Thane, every sample that I got, for some reason the hammers were all snapping. So like everything was essentially done. They were about to ship stuff out. And we caught that. And so that basically cost us about 2 to 3 weeks. But on the factory end, but that translates to like a month or something as far as like actually getting it to arrive to us. So there's like a month delay when everything was said and done. But I mean, for the most part, I felt like with as ambitious a production that we did, I felt like we had a really good run. All the little hiccups that we had were very minor considering what we were like asking the factory to do. And I really think they just knocked it out of the park. It was such a huge relief to send off paint samples and have them just like really dial in. Excuse me, of course I'm gonna hiccup. Just like really dial in all the colors and the looks of the figure. It's very satisfying to see them bring my vision to life.
Absolutely. And we also have Travis who has gone through a similar road. I mean, you're
he's in the trenches.
Travis, how's it going with your project right now? I mean, you got a bunch of things that you're working on presently, aren't you?
Yeah, it's good. There's a lot, right? Leading up to PowerCon, Jason talks about having 6 months of work ahead of him before he went to the Kickstarter. And unfortunately, I was a little bit more optimistic and only gave myself a very short runway because I opened my mouth really quick as soon as I had an idea. And I went forward with it. Within a week of the idea, I was putting in the patent and creating the company. And then, talking to a few folks and because I started talking to folks, I was like, well, I better get behind this and get it out there before somebody, tries to sneak in and bring something else to fruition faster. So, I started doing that. And while I've been working on the Kickstarter and trying to promote the Kickstarter, I've also been producing, a ton of product. And, I actually just went through the office here and packed everything up from HexaStack version 1 because I had a bunch of product that was going to be ready for as soon as the Kickstarter to be wrapped up. But having gone to PowerCon and been provided the feedback, I've retooled the design to be a little bit larger, a little bit more efficient for that longer term, future proofing it so that it can work with the injection molding. So I just recently finished one of the prototype, actually just finished curing it a couple hours ago. And I have the 4 main stands finalized. Everything's fitting perfectly as I would expect it to. I made some adjustments and I'm just now pulling over all of the foot pegs to the new foot peg stand. It's just a bigger base overall. Doesn't cost anymore, able to deliver it with the same. There was some changes from, every piece being magnetized to finding that there's a more efficient way to do it using metal and not using magnets, because now I don't have to worry about rotating polarities and all that stuff. So a lot of things there, still same functionality, just more efficient way to produce it, and what will eventually be a lower cost price point for the consumers once we get it to that injection molding.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is going to be a hot button topic, but for everybody here, who's actually done a Kickstarter, because I've had some experiences in Kickstarters, but I know these two absolutely not, right? But how has it, like, how has the overall reception been? Because I know that these things can be tricky, right? So like, between, I guess, now I'm just going to put the both of you guys on the spot, but between you, Travis, and of course Jason, what have been the biggest things, what have been the biggest takeaways actually learning from doing Kickstarters? I know that Jason, you had a really good experience. Travis, has been a bit of a rocky road for you. But what are some tips that that you guys can give to other people about your experiences with the Kickstarter model? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go. So I've had the pleasure of having a Kickstarter fail, and it stunk because I saved up for like a year to get to pay for all the sculpting and have everything casted so that I could pitch the idea. And I was bummed out for like 3 weeks, and then I was like, well, the worst case scenario happened, so now all I have to do is just take that feedback and eat beans and rice again for another year and try in a year. One of the things I think a lot of creators kind of don't take seriously is prepping before you actually launch. I can't tell you how much of a relief it was to just have updates already in the can, so that way, when this happened, all I had to do was like go through my list of pre-made outlined updates that I could go and like plug in the information. Because even though the last Kickstarter we did was super exciting and fun, there was also a level of stress where it's not necessarily as easy to like access that creative side of your brain. And so if you kind of give yourself a little bit of a head start while you're in the thick of it, you're not necessarily scrambling to try to think of like witty stuff. You could just kind of take those pre-made updates, punch in all the information, put in the pictures, and you're ready to go. I'm trying to think of another thing. Another thing is, you can't really depend on like grassroots reach on social media, because the way all of those platforms are designed is if stuff starts to go viral organically, those platforms will start to meter and reduce the footprint of those posts. So because their business is to pay for advertising, so I highly recommend that people have ads in the can ready to go before they even launch. Your first day and your last day is your two biggest days. In the middle is that marathon section. But what's nice is Kickstarter now offers like a remind me option, so you could actually start your advertising cycle maybe like 2 days before you start launching. You can even do it like a week before you start launching, because now there's the option to click notify me, so that whenever something launches, you get the email and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, the paid ads on Meta, if you want to do YouTube, come on, cat, I'll be quiet. Yeah, use Meta, which is just Facebook, Instagram. It also has Hangouts. I don't really use that, but now there's TikTok, YouTube, obviously. So really, it doesn't matter how cool your product is if no one knows about it. So that's my main suggestion, is like, don't forget about setting up those paid ads before you launch. And obviously, you want to have a cool product. So, but I feel like that goes without saying.
Absolutely. Travis, I know that you're in the thick of it right now. Has there been a lot of response from the community, for what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Jason hit it on the head pretty well. He said everything I've done wrong and called me out on it without saying it. No, Jason's right. Those are all ton of things. Having never done a Kickstarter before, and I've supported a bunch of them in the past. Those folks, definitely, they think out. They use a longer runway. They had things prepared. I've been the only person, outside of, some of the things that you, Jay, have done for me, and, Realm of Toys, doing some of the photography work. I had things lined up that fell through. for a video, to do more of a commercial approach, which I'm still going to work on and whatnot after the Kickstarter ends, but unfortunately wasn't able to deliver on it. So, definitely getting ahead of the curve and having things prepared would tremendously help. That's one thing that I recognize that I may have failed to do. And, as much as I want to see this succeed, I think also, the community has been very supportive. None of you guys knew me before this, right? We're all on this show. I've been on a number of folks on this, channels, shows before. Adam, I've been with you. Jason, I met you. You've supported me, been tremendously helpful in sharing things. Jay, you've recorded videos. So, the community as a whole across the board, Hella Dope Toys, a ton of the other folks across, all the different connections I've made has been tremendously helpful with promoting things. The feedback has been very good. What I will say as kind of a, final, kind of not a final, but a takeaway is when running a Kickstarter, one of the things that, at least for me, that's like kicked me in the gut is, you see the numbers climbing and then somebody like cancels their pledge. And it's like, crap, what did I do? Like, where did I go wrong? And then like, you're trying to figure that out. I don't know, Jason, if you had much of that as you were working through yours, but that's something that I was like, oh man, that burns every time you see somebody.
I will reply to that if you give me a second. So,
yeah.
All the Kickstarters before the last one we did, I had all the notifications on. It was like, you got a comment, you got a backer, they reduced, they canceled, they backed again. Like all that stuff I found to be like very stressful. And I almost considered like pledges very much the way when you see like a contestant on a game show where they're, like the deal or no deal, where it's like Schrodinger's money, where it's like, it's not real and it's not fake, but it's not yours yet. So like, don't get too like emotionally attached to it. And that's way easier said than done. So I just turned off all those notifications and just like focused on, conveying how exciting and engaging the product was. And that way, because it was hard not to take that stuff personally, it's just like, man, what the heck, and it really isn't personal, but it's very hard not to take it hard. And I totally get where you're coming from. But yeah, I just recommend and to be fair, I was spoiled because like we had people that were helping out and answering questions, during that Kickstarter, but I just basically turned everything off so that I could focus on making the stuff and conveying my excitement about it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something I'm learning from. It's my first venture into Kickstarter, and I've appreciated it. I've learned a ton. But if one thing I will say, Mega J, is that from the get go, right? I've always said that the Kickstarter was a platform to introduce it to people that may not have heard of it yet, and really just get it out in front of people. I hadn't even really committed to injection molding, a company to work with prior to 2 weeks ago, maybe, and now that, I've discussed with, the individual and the company on everything, we've discussed pricing, we're in constant communication, and I'm working with them. But, for me, it was always, using the Kickstarter as basically almost like a pre-sale model to just get it out to folks, get enough backing, hopefully raise enough funding to then roll that into the injection molding, within the end of the year, early next year, while delivering all of the rewards through the injection molding and using the injection molding. Through the 3D resin printing, and making sure that the product that I deliver through the 3D printing will work with the injection molding in the future consistently. So while I've the number isn't where I want it to be today, obviously I will love a huge run over the next 4 or 5 days to get it there. If it doesn't, I have a list of contacts that I've made through that Kickstarter. I will reach out to all of them. I will still honor the pricing that I presented to those that were offering to back it through the Kickstarter, and then sell them through the retail site that I'm building. That'll be ready to launch immediately after the Kickstarter ends. And deliver on those. And my plan is to take all of the proceeds from those sales and roll those again right into the the funding for the injection molding. The Kickstarter was just a platform to try to help get it there faster. It may take a little bit longer to get it there, but that was always my goal. It's not if, it's when, and that's really what it comes down to.
And I respect that. But I think there's a lot of takeaways from this. I mean, Jason himself said that he had an unsuccessful Kickstarter. If I'm correct, right, Jason? You said that your first kick at the
That's
can didn't
correct.
exactly
Yeah.
pan out.
Yeah.
So it might be a chance to take a look at this and learn from the mistakes. I mean, you convinced some idiot to make a video in his hotel room, right? So I mean, like it's you have support from people in the in the community, right? So I mean,
one of the coolest idiots I know, to be honest. Just between you and I.
I don't
And
know.
there are plenty other idiots who want to help. So
He seems like a moron.
you
He
know.
seems like a moron to me. I don't know.
I think it's a great product, and I think that I think that this type of product falls under the same kind of mindset where people will spend a whole bunch on their collectibles and then not spend the proper amount on quality, like display. Like the old I spent like $80 on like a shelving that like collapses and all my cool stuff gets destroyed. It's like you should spend your funds and get something that displays really well, lets you store your items, and then obviously you want your shelving and everything to be nice and solid and sturdy, so you don't have to worry about your collectibles falling over. I mean, obviously not.
We just gotta get HexaStack in your boxes. That's what it comes down to, Jason. We just gotta get a stand inside.
That's
the
it. Yeah, man. There you go.
Yeah. Again, like this isn't as you said though, Travis. Like no matter what happens, you're committed to this, and I think that really speaks to what we're talking about tonight. The independent spirit. I think that is a real big thing. Adam, for example, you're collecting a whole bunch of different lines. You're supporting a multitude of different companies out there. What has been your big driving factor for even finding out about, for example, Spero Toys? Like how did you come across that?
I mean, I came across Spero Toys the same way. Well, maybe not, now that I think of it, because Brick and I talk about this all the time, how like we see this stuff because we're looking for it, but a lot of people just kind of aren't looking for it, right? I guess my collecting got to a point with all the IPs that I knew as a kid where I kind of had all the stuff. I'd replaced the vintage stuff that I wanted, and I could either go with sort of new versions of some of that stuff or look elsewhere. And what I found is with the independent stuff, with the new IPs, with the vintage stuff, we're trying to replicate the feeling that we had as a kid, but it's only replicating our feeling about that specific figure or character. With the indie stuff, I find that I'm going through like the whole process again, of discovering the IP, discovering the lore, like learning about this stuff. Like when don't get me wrong, I did a live unboxing of a G.I. Joe classified figure today, and it was great. Like the figure's awesome. But then it's sort of like, but it's a figure that I already know, like I don't dig any deeper with that character. Whereas when, Jason comes up with a new character, I want to see it in the comic book. I want to know more about it. Like, what's his vibe? Like, what's this character's attitude? Like, how does he fit with the other characters? Because I don't know it. And it's sort of like, for me, that's way more of a draw than, buying a new version of an old figure. I still love the old stuff, and there's still room in my collection for some of that stuff, and there's still room, in my heart for those IPs. One thing I learned, after having more than one child, is that your heart can have more love for things. It's not a finite amount of love. So it's always funny to me when people are kind of like, well, I'm good. I already collect, this IP, so I don't need another IP. And I'm sort of like, open your heart to a new IP. Give it a chance.
I think that's such a great point that you make. Right. Yeah.
Adopt a new IP.
It's funny.
They need your love. They need a home
for only $34.
And you shouldn't deny yourself that joy, you know. I mean, like a lot of, you know,
Yes.
what I'm doing is like my goal is that, you know, I always say that like if I can get people to come home and just for 15 minutes, like check these out and have fun and just kind of forget about their problems for the day for 15 minutes, I'll feel like I have achieved my goal. Look, I got that guy too. That's a cool guy. But you know what Adam and Brick, whenever they go through the comics, it's super flattering, obviously, but it's also very exciting and a relief that like you guys like pick up on all like there's some stuff that I don't just like smack the readers over the head with, and I want them to kind of like do a little bit of work and figure out. And you guys have picked up on all of it. And I'm like, oh my God, Hugh, that's such a relief because I was worried that some stuff was a little too subtle, you know? I mean, you guys will get like 95% of the way there, and then like then where y'all don't nail it, it's so fun to hear the theories.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly where it's going, but it's like, oh, you're so close, and that would be so fun, but it's actually not going to quite go exactly that way. So, man, issue 5 is a banger. It is fun. Oh my God, it feels. I don't know. Like, I mean, like I'm still coloring the pages and
Hurry
stuff,
up
and
already.
I know, right? But I mean, this one is intense as far as like just so many panels.
Yeah.
There's so much exposition going on. I mean, at this point in the story, you've got like, I think there's like 3 parallel storylines that are, you know, they've kind of like in the story, everything has been like an A story and a B story where they kind of intertwine just a little bit. This time it's like there's 3 parallel stories and they're all leading up to one conjunction. So it's just a ton of exposition, a bunch of like really cool new characters that are introduced. I don't want to spoil stuff, but I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a fun issue, and we're wrapping up the first story arc, which is basically our season 1.
Yeah.
And then
Let me
we'll roll into season
spare
2
you.
after that.
Yeah. Let me spare
What's
you
that?
from spoiling it. And let me spare you from spoiling it and just sort of say and respond real quick too. I think what's really fun and special about this sort of like this whole AWOK experience is that there is that sort of lore behind it. You know, Adam and I were talking about how, like, for me, it was just sort of like, oh, I heard about these figures. I saw them. I was like, wow, visually, I was sucked in. But then you get into the lore and the story. And I think that's largely why we started it from that story perspective, because 1, we're really into it. But 2, that was the aspect that 2 things. 1, we knew people didn't really know about, but also like, that's the thing that's the thing we hang on to when we're like, oh, I love Motu. It's because, oh,
Right.
I watched the show. I really love the mini comics.
Right,
Or I love
exactly.
G.I. Joe because I love the Sunbow stuff. Or I love the Marvel comics.
Right.
It's that sort of story and that engagement in that world. And so that's that first thing I'll say. The second thing is just to kind of chime in on the question Mega J was asking Adam. You know, in addition to everything that Adam said, that sort of like that joy and that space in your heart, man, I've never been, ever since I was a kid, I've just loved geeky things, right? Like I was never like, oh, cool, Gotcha Man,
Yeah.
I'm done. Give me more Gotcha Man, or sorry, Battle of the Planets. I'm done now. No, Transformers, not
Right.
interested because I'm so much. No, it was just like, feed me. It was the 80s. It was like, here's this,
Yeah,
here's
totally.
this. And I was
Yeah.
like, gobble, 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 gobble.
Right.
And so there wasn't the point where I was like, okay, I'm done now. I have my things. So now that I'm kind of returning to toy collecting in this way, yeah, absolutely. Like it was this perfect time period of, I could go back to Motu because guess what? Motu's back. There's the Origins. If you're really into that format, there's Masterverse. There's G.I. Joe Classified. There's Star Wars Black Series. All that stuff was there. So like I could go back to that. And so as Adam pointed, like, yeah, there's room in my shelf for some of that stuff.
I don't have room on my shelf.
But yeah, but you know, but part of me is just like, there you go. But no, I'm always kind of looking for what else is there. Like, you know, if movies were to come out that weren't Marvel movies, I'd watch those too, right? But it just happens to be like every movie right now is a Marvel movie. But it's just
man.
like, I want to check that out. There's space there, and so that's why I get excited because there's all this new stuff to explore, but then there's also the fact that like, if I look at what, and so this gets into the indie toy part of it all. If I look at what Hasbro's been doing and Mattel's been doing, from my perspective, I know we're all like coming from different places. I just think they could step it up a lot more than they have, right? In terms of like almost every aspect of the game, whether it's, you know, the engineering, whether it's the level of deco, even on the storytelling side, honestly. So then I'm sitting here and I'm watching like some company who's working with designers and sculptors all over the world, and they're like, magic, it's on 5K Toys, get it. And you're like, whoa, what's with that articulation? Like, oh my God, the painting on that. Like, and yes, I don't know anything about the story. It's not tied to something, but I'm just blown away what people are able to achieve.
It's engaging. Yeah.
So then I want to scratch, and I was like, yeah, I would love to get certain, like, I would love to get some Motu figures and Star Wars figures that are like that. Like, where are those? You know, like we're at that level. And again, I know your mileage may vary, but I want to see the indie toys sort of also push maybe these other guys to kind of step it up a little.
You know, I think the indie mentality is like, hey, let's make really cool, engaging products and exist at the same level, if not a little bit better than the big guys, and still exist in the same space. I don't think that not necessarily the creators in those big companies feel that way, but I feel like, you know, the suits are definitely like, they do not like any kind of competition or anything like that. And which is a shame, because, you know, I always think about the Paul and John dynamic, where they like really pushed each other to like make amazing music and like brought out the best in each other. And I wish they would kind of get a little bit more of that mentality, because it's not like Batman's going away. I mean, it's been around for 100 years. So, but you know, all that being said, I love Marvel Legends, and I think the Masterverse stuff is great. Our goal is to do stuff like you said, you know, do like a Marvel Legends figure that's got all the bells and whistles on it. It's got at least, you know, in this case, it's got 3 accessories. It's got more than 3 accessories. It's got the alternate hands. It's got a ton of articulation. It's got, you know, removable armor in this figure's case. And the other stuff that we're going to license, like, I feel like we set a standard, which is, I hope it doesn't come off as bragging, but it's just an observation. Like, we set this standard, and we want that to carry over to the other stuff that we license. So whenever you pick up a Spero product, you'll know, like, oh, hey, I can expect, you know, this kind of plastic and this kind of articulation. Man, I want to talk about stuff, but I can't. I want to show stuff. I want to like pull stuff on screen and be like, oh, look at this. And then, but then people can pause it later and be like, oh my God.
You can't show it, Jason.
This is what it is.
No, you can't show it.
Adam,
you can show it, Jason. Nobody's watching. It's just the 5 of us here.
No one's watching. It's all good.
But it's the problem when you become, you know, as you said, like when you start to become successful, things tend, and then you have to say, oh, I got to keep this in the corner and stuff like that. So
I know.
It is.
I know. It's like, I want to talk about it and show stuff, and you know. Yeah. But
yeah,
we'll have some cool stuff. We'll show one really thing. Well, there's one thing we're really excited about that we will unveil at Legion's Con in November. So that's the next thing that we'll be showing stuff off at.
Yeah,
it's not a ton of stuff. It's just one cool thing, you know. So
that is so cool. Another company who's actually going through their own sort of independent, I guess, their whole sort of independent thing. Ramen Toy is actually here, and actually this is for Travis. Those HexaStacks will look so much better with the actual injected molding pieces versus the 3D prints, which is something you mentioned, Travis.
And he would know. He would know because he is the one that I'm partnering with for HexaStack. So that's who I am.
Oh, you just spilling the beans, man.
We have it right here.
I got approval. So
okay, all right.
He also says that the size of the hexagon, unless I'm mistaken, can also be a Mark II version, being bigger and accommodating bigger picture subjects. So I'm sure you guys are going to be working together and that's so exciting now that we know that he's involved. And something else that's coming. Oh my God! I want to give a huge thank you to Ramen Toy for the $250 Hong Kong $250 Hong Kong dollars super chat. And this is interesting, Jason. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Since we have the man at the helm of Spero, can I get your permission to make the environments for your figures? Since this was a request by your fans, if so, we should get in touch and get your design. I don't know where that came from. So
actually, I do know
let's
if
talk about it.
I can offer. Can I give you some context? I think that was your stream. Was it not your stream? He was on a live stream
am I getting
recently.
Here? What the hell's going on? Like,
he was on a live stream recently. It might not have been with you, Mega J. I forget. I'm sorry. But you know, Ace is everywhere. He was on a live stream.
Brick, it was when you and I were on Toy Connection.
Toy Connection. Who's that?
We did talk at Toy Connections, but just
Small little
this
channel.
week,
You might have heard of it.
But just this week, he was on another stream, and in the chat, they were talking about he was working on he was working on a sewer dio, and was talking about some of the challenges around that. And I brought up in the chat, like, hey, would you ever consider making play sets for, like, you know, some of the newer companies and the smaller companies who, like, really at this point they're just putting out figures and they're not yet at the point where they can, like,
it might have been me. It might have been
that's what I thought.
It might have been
who
us.
might not yet want to sort of shift and go into play sets.
I think you and I were in a multi-stream at the same time too. I think that was a bit of a
maybe, and I think I brought it up there for a reason intentionally, because this is how my brain was working, and it also was in a different stream. But the point is, so I just threw it out there. It's like, hey, you know, I know you're sometimes struggling with, like, making certain things that, you know, these other companies are like cease and desist or whatever. What about some of these smaller companies? And he'd responded with, you know what, like, I was at PowerCon, and some of these smaller companies they put these things on display in these sort of play sets and dios. So clearly, like, they have the capacity to do that. So I just assume, like, you know, they're going to do it. And I think he was referring to Nick's work, who's in the chat right now. Right. I was just sort of saying, well, you know,
Nick did an awesome job. That thing was
amazing.
It's interesting because, like, the way the con was set up, like, you walk in and, like, I think that we were, like, down the main walkway and you could see it from, like, way down the way. I was like, oh, that's going to get people to come to the booth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So my point in that was, like, hey, maybe you could work with some of these newer folks to kind of create environments that would work with their figures. So, like, I don't know. I didn't, you know, I was just kind of throwing it out there, but don't know if you're at all in the mode of, you're like, we're ready for play sets, or maybe that's not something you're thinking about.
I think it's a cool idea. I think it's an awesome idea. It's just, you know, everyone's got their mountain or their goal that they're going towards. And, like, I have, like, I know what I want to make. And, you know, I personally don't consider, like, making play sets and stuff like that. You know, maybe if we get, like, a cartoon or something, then I would think, oh, hey, maybe we could ask the factory about it. But, like, if Ramen's interested in doing something like that, I'd love to talk to them about it, you know. Yeah, I can see there's, like, comments coming up, but, like, I can tell, like, that Ramen said something and Nick said something. But I can't read that far away. Like, I can just tell that they're commenting. So I'm not actually able to read their comments in real time.
So real quick, Jason, that's exactly what I was trying to hoping this conversation could start. Because what I'm hearing from you is, like, we're working on figures. Like, you're pretty busy working on figures, and that sounds cool, but it's not something we want to do. And here's Ramen trying to do stuff, including playsets.
Right? So, like, yeah. It's cool. Nick, dude, it's 1 o'clock, dude. You know, you're not sleeping already. What are you doing up this late?
Nick is basically saying, show your toys. And
what's he saying? I can't read it. What's it say?
Yeah. So Nick is saying, show your toys. And he's also saying the AWOK movie is coming to Netflix in February 2026.
Yes.
That would be amazing. I would be so excited. I would be excited if they just optioned it, because I'd be like, y'all make it or don't make it. I got the money. It's cool.
Hey, you know
we'll just make more toys with it.
Invincible came out of nowhere. Like seriously, like I never thought they'd do Invincible. Like I was shocked when they did Invincible.
Dude, it's so good. And I didn't know anything about the comic book. So like whenever I saw the first episode and like the little ending, I was just like, what the hell is going on here? This is crazy. And I was hooked after that.
Yeah. Nick also says AWOK Village has a prototype, and literally directly after that, Ramen says great job on the prototype. So yeah, guys, Ramen also says we don't want to give the wrong impression that we just go ahead to make dioramas for Spero Toys for their fans and designs. So yeah, there's a discussion to be had here. Don't want to take over the stream on this one, but Jason, looks like you got a small reach out here. I think it's going to be
set up a meeting.
It's going to be excellent. And what the heck is going on? Whoa, what the heck?
Oh no,
what's going on here?
belt.
Whoa, who's
Oh boy,
that?
what's going
Who
on?
is that?
How you doing?
Looks like the Hitman has joined the stream. Everybody,
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Just hijacked this amazing AWOK and HexaStack conversation. How y'all doing tonight?
what's going on?
I'm shocked you're still awake, Ken.
How's it going?
To be clear, it's Indie Toys, not the independent wrestling circuit. But
Oh, okay. I got the wrong indie. So indie with an IE, not indie with a Y. Okay, I got it. I may have messaged the chat earlier and said that I had a little bit to drink, and then I may have been laying in bed snoring. My kid may have kicked me and said, "Stop snoring. I can't get to sleep in the other room." And I went, "Oh my God, Mega J's on!" And I looked at the cast on camera. I was like, "Look at all these amazing faces on here." And then all of a sudden, Andrew Davis requested me to come on, and I'm like, I don't know, Andrew, I'm laying down, and next thing you know, 3 seconds later, Mega J sends a StreamYard link, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say no to these people. You know what I mean? I look at it on the camera. I don't say no to these folks. Not this all-star cast. No.
Oh my gosh, just crazy.
I gotta say, Ken, the fact that you showed up with the Bret Hart look and stuff, I feel like there's something going on here, and I'm gonna start popping to every one of your streams. But I'm gonna wear those chaps and the HBK stuff, and it's gonna get interesting between you and I, Ken.
But anyway, sorry. I have so much to say to that, but like it would just completely derail the stream all the way this way. So no, don't be sorry at all, because I'm the one who started the whole thing.
Oh, I love it.
So what were we talking about? Kali's pretty cool, right? He's pretty cool, right?
He is pretty cool.
All right, cool.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
that's pretty cool, right? Something like that, right?
I have him back there. He's hiding back there.
Yeah, there we go.
Really quickly, I wanted to give a huge thanks to Drew Chase for the $2 super chat. Hey, Jason. Hey, Jay. What's going on, Drew? How are you doing tonight, brother?
What's up, Drew? Dude, it's even later. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning for you.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the morning for me too. So, I did want to actually, you know what, since Ken
it is the
here,
weekend though. So.
I know. Luckily, we all get a little bit of a break, and again, it's a long weekend for some of us. So actually, is it Labor Day weekend for you guys, or is it a different holiday completely?
It is, and that is a great segue. By the way, we are going to be having a 1-day sale on the website for Labor Day only. So, oh, did you see Adam? They just cut off. I'm sorry, Adam. It's a 1-day only. Don't get mad. I'm sorry.
I mean, what better way to celebrate Labor Day than to provide more work for labor?
What's wrong, Adam?
Boy,
you look so uncomfortable. You look so.
I'll set up the out of office email right now.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Oh my gosh! All right, Adam, don't worry. We don't want to beat you up too much. Actually, since we have Ken in the stream, Ken, you're working on your own. You're actually helping out on your own independent toy scene.
Yes, absolutely. And sorry if it looked like I was not paying attention a second ago. I was actually sharing this link and tagging everyone. And when I typed @Brick, I had to type Brick SOMETH before his channel came up. I don't know why YouTube wouldn't let me tag him properly. So anyway, sorry. Your question, Mega J.
It's because you're not subscribed to me. It's fine.
Can YouTube channels block other YouTube channels? Is that what happened there?
I think they can. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think they can.
Okay, rectify. Oh my God, what a bad friend.
For crying out loud. Ken, why don't you give us a little insight as to what you've been working on for the past year and a half?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Didn't mean to come in and like hijack things, but yeah, Delta-17. We've got
that's too late for that, Ken.
Okay, it's too late for that. The whole Bret Hart thing already screwed it all over. But yeah, we do have the O-ring 3 3/4-inch military toy line right now called Delta-17. These are the final engineering pilot samples, which are the final factory test shots on the card. We did a couple of final tweaks, but it's in production right now. It's going to be going full production for the next couple of months, hopefully to drop mid-late November, and then hopefully we'll have everything for sale at that point in time. And thanks to Mega J, who actually set up the website for us right now. We just got to link it up to a store and get everything done. But yeah, basically playing off of the old G.I. Joe love. I mean, O-ring has really resurged again a little bit, what with the other toy lines out there, such as Operation Recall, Call Sign Longbow, Skeletron's got something going on, in the Navy's got something going on. There's so many of us out there. Strike Force Alpha, the Ninjas line. There's so many O-ring toy lines out there right now. We thought we'd put our staple on things, make our mark on the independent toy space right there. And that's why it's really good to see what some people are doing, like what Travis has been doing with HexaStack. I've been looking at my bookcases, seeing, where can a HexaStack fit in there, and of course AWOK and Mythic Legions and everything that we're doing right now. But yeah, Delta-17, we've been working on it for a few years now. All the characters are individually created, unique bios and everything like that. We've got a comic hopefully to come out end of this year, but Steve is a little bit behind on the storyboarding, so he said it might come out the beginning of 2024. Let's see what's going on there. So yeah, ultimately follow delta17toys.com, Delta17 Toys on Instagram, Facebook, everything. Try to do what I can to cover it and get the word out there. Indie toys, man. That's where it's at right now.
That looks awesome.
Yeah. This is what we're
Means
talking
a lot
about
coming from you. Yeah.
And Ken, from what I understand, you are not doing a crowdsourced project. You're not following your what's it called? The D17 Toys is not actually doing a Kickstarter or anything along those lines. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's literally, we got funding a number of years ago through an investor, and we've just been very quietly developing it in the background. And Adam was one of the first people I talked to about it. And I know that there's a lot you can gain in terms of marketing as far as a Kickstarter goes. So we figured, okay, well, let's lean into our strength, which is kind of the reverse Kickstarter model that I've been talking about. And let's just kind of carpet bomb the information at the end while still giving people enough time to potentially save up if they want to get the entire first wave. Just because we weren't going to get that benefit of having the sort of built-in marketing that you would get through a Kickstarter. So we did a soft launch, and then at Joe Fest, we just showed up. And then people took photos. They started posting things on message boards and saying, who are these guys? And have they sort of just kicked the doors down and said, hey, we're going to put our stamp on the market as well. And yeah, we just kind of just threw ourselves in there and said, hey, we've been at this for a few years. We're ready to go. And yeah, we're going to drop before the end of the year because we're literally tooling was already like 90% done by the time we got to Joe Fest, and we did a few final tweaks and we were just adjusting pressures. Because, the plastic has to go into the injection molding. Jason knows this at a certain pressure, right? We were just adjusting things like that. And just getting our final test shots done. And now that everything's all done, things have been going for the last couple of weeks and we're good to go, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
that's exciting.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to buy some of those.
Let me know.
Get them on some stands.
Absolutely. So for now, you're doing 3 3/4-inch figure O-rings, correct?
Yeah.
And that's so it's interesting because a lot of people are moving towards the 6-inch figure line. Why did you guys decide to go into the 3 3/4-inch line?
That's an interesting question because actually we got asked this last night on Toy Domination as well, and Steve said, I have no idea, I just did it. And in my case, when I first talked to him about it, I never told him my reasons for doing it. It was just because when you look at G.I. Joe, one of the things that you automatically associate it with without even thinking is the 3 3/4-inch line, the O-ring line. And then when you think military, that's sort of like where your brain goes first. And then you sort of migrate over to the 6-inch line with what's going on right now in the industry. But we felt that, I mean, like, the sweet spot for what Steve wanted to build in terms of, you know, the world he wanted to build was better served at 3 3/4 inch. It's not to say we won't venture into a different scale later on, but we're going to do that selectively. Right. But yeah, it's going to live in 3 3/4. Long story short. So, yeah.
Fun fact. I mean, just to kind of tie these things together, like, there was a AWOK before the AWOK we know now, right? And so, could you?
Yeah, we started. I love the 3 3/4 inch line. I mean, I love that scale. And I kind of fought the 6-inch scale for quite a while. I remember whenever they were starting to have the lockdowns and we were just kind of stuck at home, and I was just kind of looking on, you know, looking at toy sites and everything, and I noticed that like a bunch of Star Wars Black Series were clearance, and what was it, Marvel Legends stuff was clearance. So like I felt like, oh, let me check it out and see what's going on, and I started buying those, and begrudgingly started to enjoy the 6-inch scale, and yeah, I just kind of followed what I was interested in at the time, and we found a lot more success in the 6-inch scale. So, you know, we just kind of followed where our customer demand was. But the last big line that I went crazy over was the 3 3/4 inch Halo figures, which I just have a ton of them. And I really like that scale. It makes doing vehicles so much more practical. But yeah, I mean, my first love for toys is that iconic 3 3-inch scale, or 3 3/4 scale.
But on the note of Spero Toys and Animal Warriors for the Kingdom, intuitively, a lot of people would naturally either put the Pharaoh house with the Thundercats in their own headcanon,
right? Exactly.
But also largely fit it with Mythic Legions, right?
Right. Yeah. We were trying to find like a little sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So if somebody doesn't, like, you know, first off, the story is already good, but if someone just said, I don't have time to, you know, to follow the story, and they wanted to headcanon it themselves, it can fit in with what they already have, right? And if they choose to follow the story, even better, right? So you found a sweet spot there. Anyway.
We have Usual Mike in the chat. What's going on, Mike? All the way from Australia. How's it going, Mike? Good to see you, brother. I hope you're doing okay. Yeah, it's great to have as many independent creators as we do tonight. What is it you guys are looking forward to? Or actually, you know what? I guess I'll put this to the entire panel. Let's just look at this, because of what we experienced, some of us here at PowerCon. Like, there's just a thriving independent community that's happening right now. I mean, I couldn't believe, if you just look at the PowerCon page, just looking at all the companies that were there, it's just absolutely crazy. You know, D17, Monkey Fiction, a Foosh. The Foosh is actually getting into and like they've been into a little while with their skeletons, but now they actually have an official license that they're getting into.
Yeah, those Ninja Scroll figures look awesome.
It's crazy, and you know what? That's what's really blowing my mind. The fact that they're actually getting into licensing. Ramen Toy has been trying to get into licensing multiple times. They had what they thought was a license with Silverhawks. That sort of something happened there, and now they're pursuing multiple licenses with different companies. Do you guys, let's put this out here. What is everyone's opinion on the independent scene? Is there enough room for all of these? I think that's the big question. Is there enough room for all of these independent groups? Adam, what's your take on the number of independents that are currently inhabiting the market right now?
Honestly, I love it. I mean, I love seeing more of them. Like the more the better, I think. I think there's a tendency for people to kind of get in this mentality that like brands are competing against each other. And I guess that on some level, the amount of money that any one of us has to spend on toys is finite, right? And our space is finite. But not everybody's going to buy everything. That's just the reality of the way the world works, right? Like, I work in retail, and if I got upset when like another retailer sort of in our town sold something that's similar to us, like was able to make a sale, like that would drive me crazy. But it doesn't make any sense, like, because you're creating a bigger market, right? You're creating more interest, and the more of this stuff that we see out there, the more interest there is, and the more people become open to the indie creators, because it's not like a niche anymore. It's becoming normal. It's becoming like, these are the lines that people are collecting. You know what I mean? The shelves behind me, there's tons of Hasbro product. I find myself buying less and less of it because it's less and less exciting. The AWOK stuff is I mean, I'm unapologetic in saying that it is my favorite line right now, bar none. But that isn't to say that stuff like the legendary Kickstarter that's going on right now, Mythic Legions, the Armies of Ashmore, giant dinosaur action figures. Like, there's so much cool stuff out there. And I say this all the time. I can't collect all the things, but it doesn't mean that I can't pick up one or two things from every line. And Brick knows me well enough to know that that's not necessarily my MO. Like, I kind of have a tendency to buy lines and fill up shelves, but that's more than anything because, like, I get really excited about certain lines. And then I just kind of run out of room for the sort of individual figures. But if you put out a translucent figure, I'll probably buy your figure. It doesn't really matter what your line is. I'm still waiting, Jason. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there's room for everyone, right? Rising tide floats all boats, except if your boat has a hole in it. But that's that kind of breaks the analogy. But anyway, I think there's room for everyone, right? And I think what I've seen, with Spero and Ideas from Mars and Four Horsemen and like all these studios, these independent studios, is that when I talk to these guys, right, when I'm messaging back and forth, they're like, yeah, I know that guy. That guy's really cool. He helped me with this idea, or like he sort of said, hey, why don't you tweak the sculpt in this way? Like, the independent guys work together. There's not a sense of like, I have to beat these guys, like I got to defeat my enemy and crush them and, stamp them into the ground. There's a genuine sense of camaraderie and a genuine sense that, like, hey, let's help each other out. Let's all, help each other to further this and get these toys in people's hands, right? Because I think that's the big thing. A lot of people see the independent stuff. Maybe they see a YouTube video or whatever, but getting it in people's hands and getting people to kind of experience it firsthand is really the goal. Hal Jordan in the comments buying into AWOK. I'm pumped because every time somebody's like, oh, I'll give these a try, it's I had that with Mythic Legions. That was kind of the first line that I personally got one in hand. And it was like, the moment in that Simpsons episode where like the eyes just go, woo, and I was like, you realize how good toys can be, right? We get so used to the big guys, and we get so kind of accepting of sort of mediocre action figures. But there's really good stuff out there, and I think that's what the independent lines are doing. And people just need to get it in hand. I'll get off the soapbox now. Brick, you're up.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, all right. Get ready. No. So I've done the indie thing in different forms for a little bit, right? So been on the planet for about 4 decades now. I'm in my 5th one. And so whether it was indie music, right? Indie hip hop, indie rock, indie punk, we'll just start there. So I just remember, like, kind of like what Adam's saying, in that in the independent world, people were helping each other, and there was a scene, there was this DIY spirit, and people were like, yeah, let's just do this. Let's form a band. Let's do a record label. Hey, I don't know how, and let's form a touring network. And people would just do it because largely the reason they were doing it was because the big corporations weren't allowing them in that space. There was a gate, right? You couldn't just sign onto a record label, or you couldn't just like become a venue. So people did it themselves. And so when I look at that model, that's really exciting. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now. And you're seeing bands pop up all over the place. And it's exactly what Adam said with Mythic Legions. It's sort of like you realize, wow, I could be listening to, I'm going to date myself, this hair metal right now. And that's all really looks cool.
Rick,
but
people
like,
marry themselves. So dating
that's
yourself
fine.
isn't that bad.
Yeah, but Warrant and Motley Crue, and no diss to anyone who's like, but after a while you're kind of like, oh, it's like just different dudes with slightly different hair, and so it feels the same, right? This is that mediocrity that you're talking, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, did they just play 3 chords really loud, and that was fun, and we were jumping around, and you realize, oh my God, that's exciting, right? Or the same goes for hip hop. You're like, oh my God, they're talking about stuff that I'm not hearing on the radio. And so I throw that all out there because I think that's kind of where we're at right now, where it's exciting. But here's the maybe not as fun part that I just kind of want to point out, is that all ended up with like, I don't know, Lollapalooza and, grunge being the biggest thing. And I point that out because we still live in the same economic system. And I think at a certain point, Debbie Downer, like, I just wonder if we're going to see some sort of like the market can only bear so much, right? So I don't know. And I'm not trying to like be the downer necessarily. I'm just kind of like a student of history and life. Like, I wonder if Mattel and Hasbro, someone was asking, like, what's going to happen when the IPs that they own aren't really like the big thing anymore, and they don't have this huge like fan base to kind of bolster their toys. Hopefully there'll be like people coalescing around AWOK, coalescing around Mythic Legions, coalescing around, Armies of Ashmore, what have you, Legendary. So like maybe, and then we'll move on. But then I can't imagine Hasbro and Mattel are going to go like, okay, I guess we're done. Like, what do they do? What did the major labels do? They said, oh, Sub Pop, why don't you just kind of join us? Oh, Dim Mak, which is the label that I've had some experience with. Sony's like, hey, why don't you just like, we'll just take you on, and all your bands will now be Sony bands, and they wouldn't even know about it, right? So I know that's a lot. I just want to throw that out there. We've seen this happen. We've seen it happen with technology, right? All the little .coms. I've seen that happen too. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, independent design house here. All of a sudden, they all got bought up by big ad agencies, and then they're all gone. So I just want to throw out there that that's a possibility. However, the good news, the 21st century. And so we have the internet that so small folks can now reach people directly and build up their base in a way that a lot of us in the old independent music scene, we just couldn't up until a certain period, right? We couldn't. Now, like, you can build an independent venture in a much larger way than you couldn't before. Like, to hear Travis, like, I had this idea, and now I'm talking to injection molding companies, and we're getting ready, and here's Ken talking about the tolerance of the plastic, and he's like learning this stuff. Like, that was all information that was just inaccessible to the average person back in the day, and now here you guys are, right? So I think there is some good news and some options. The other thing that I think, the fact that Mattel and Hasbro are really leaning into crowdfunding, that tells me, and people have their opinions about it, they are now having to pivot and learn from the techniques that indie companies are using. I mean, there's a reason why they're leaning into it, because they can't just do their old model. They can't rely on Target willing to buy a bunch of stuff randomly and hope that it sells, because now Target's like, now we're not interested anymore. It's getting tougher and tougher for them to kind of use the old model. So they're like, okay, well, what if we try and sell more directly to people? So anyway, all that said, I know that was like the Debbie Downer, like less like pie in the sky version, but that's just sort of what I'm seeing. And I really do think there's some hope in the indies doing something big. And I just saw the the comments from like Alberto talking about, it's not just the toy makers. It is the cottage industries that are coalescing around it. It's the people making custom heads, custom accessories, custom diodes, custom accessories, display stuff like HexaStack, back to stack. It's all of that stuff now. And then, hey, Jay, like, I don't know if you ever dreamed back in the day of being a television station, but that's essentially what you've become, right? You are now the independent news outlet and TV station, and many of us are that. So it's like it's kind of wild, and so I feel like it could go any way. Sorry, I could talk about indie toys all forever, but I'll stop there. Period.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Back to you in the station, Mega J.
You're talking to the wrong guy. You're talking to the wrong guy. Travis, do you have any thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, so this is coming from a guy who like only collected, Mattel wrestling figures for like, 15 years. Or whatever it was. Exact. No Bret Hart's though. No, I kid, Ken. I kid. So for
I was going
me,
for my steel chair right now.
Awesome. So for me, I got into the classifieds when I started seeing those on the shelves, and then got into the Valaverse figures, and I kind of played in that space, and then the Valaverse figures just opened up this world of the toy community beyond like wrestling fig forums, right? Because that's where I lived for like ever with wrestling figures, and then that's where I started coming across all the different channels that we all watch, we all subscribe to, and that's where I started hearing about AWOK, right? And AWOK got me into the He-Man because I like thought the AWOKs looked honestly, the board game for AWOK was really like interesting to me. So then that's when I got the AWOK figures, knowing that was coming. And then I got the He-Man on clearance because I'm like, I need some humans to fight the monkeys. And, like for that, they fit in scale and they were dirt cheap. So for me, I really have only gotten into the independent toys over the last like couple years, but I have a massive collection of them. And just like, Brick and Adam, I love the AWOK figures. And that's not just because Jason's on this. I was at Jason's booth as much as I could get away from mine at PowerCon last month. So, the AWOK figures really like, they've shown me what can be done at the independent toy line. And that's, seeing, someone come up with a board game to tie into this, using your action figures and finding another way to play with our toys and the comics. And, I think Brick was talking about this earlier is, and somebody in the chat mentioned, well, what are you going to do when kids don't like the IPs that have always been there? Well, for me, I'm like kind of like already at that point. Like, don't get me wrong, the other IPs give that nostalgia feels, but like you have something like AWOK or even like the Savage Crucible that's coming, like they have their own, mytho or, lore, and it's got kind of like that feel of what we had when we were kids, but it's something fresh and it tastes new and it's got a smell to it that's a little different. And it's like, this is cool. And it brings out that 6-year-old kid in me that was like Saturday morning with a bowl of honeycombs and just kind of like, this is cool. Like I get to play with the toys and stuff. So, as long as the independent lines continue to invent things and create those IPs, I think they have a ton of opportunity. And, with what Brick said, right? Like there's going to be, independent line that comes out and is successful and somebody's going to snag them up with a bigger wallet and we're going to be bummed out, but maybe we get something better, from them. But what's going to happen is someone else is going to come up through a Kickstarter or self-funded, and they're going to come up with another, I don't want to say AWOK because AWOK's pretty freaking awesome, but they're going to come up with some other IP that somebody else is going to jump on and it's going to fill the shoes. So I really think like it's a really cool time to be, into toys and kind of come out of that, for me, for the wrestling figure closet that only my closest friends and my kids picked on me about, like being able to play with my toys and stuff has been really cool, and just be exposed to it. It's just massive. There's
one
so
should
much
pick on you for ever having a wrestling collection.
Thank you, Ken.
Right?
We gotta stick together, brother.
Even my Canadian friends don't pick on me for having this in the collection. So don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. So, anyway.
Yeah. So to me, it's just an awesome time to be a part of the community. And like I have a 12-year-old, and he was like super ecstatic to go and see the AWOKs. Like my AWOKs are on my shelf, but he grabs them a couple times and he plays with them. But like when he got to go over and hold that life-size Thane hammer with Jason, and Jason was holding his Loki staff, it was like the coolest thing. And that's the other thing, right? you're never going to get that experience with the creators for some IP that works for Hasbro in the same way that, you know, PowerCon and things like that gave my 12-year-old son, who like was looking at me like I was such a cool dude. I don't know why, but he thought I was such a cool dude to be able to know some of these people and have had conversations with them. And for him to go and see all of them, he was like, this is the coolest thing, Dad. So, you know, like it's a cool time to be a part of the community and involved in the toys. And I think the independent line is giving us something that you're never going to get in that Hasbro experience or the Mattel. And that's not slamming them, because I love their products. You know, the independent line has raised the bar. You know, a Valaverse and the G.I. Joe Classified is a perfect example. Classified products have gotten better consistently as there's been something there pushing it. I go back to my wrestling reference. I'm sure Ken can see this. You know, WWE, WWF, WCW, it was all better when they had each other, right? Like when they had something pushing them, we had the best ratings. We had some of the most exciting entertainment on television for that kind of media. So like the competition of these independent lines pushing is just going to continue to do the same.
And ever since AEW came back, what have they had to do? WWE was forced to pivot. Roman Reigns turned heel. The fans were clamoring for how many years? Turn this guy heel. He'll be good at it. AEW starts pushing the bar. Bam. Roman turns heel. It's the best storyline in decades with the Bloodline.
Yeah, competition creates, you know, innovation. Right. And that innovation is what's, you know, Jason, look at his products are freaking awesome. Like they're just so good. So.
So I'll put it to both the actual you know, indie creators that are actually looking to make toys right now. Ken, Jason, what are your thoughts on the independent scene? Is there enough room for everybody? I mean, you two are not going direct competition with each other, but there are so many other. I mean, Joe Fest alone, there was a ton of O-ring collectors, O-ring manufacturers, you know, up and coming independents. And Jason, your line is very, very unique. But you know, like there are the Mesozoic era, you know, other types of animal type of inspired toy lines. I mean, it's not going to be as you know, your niche product all of a sudden might get some competition. What do you guys think? Is there enough room?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like AWOK is playing in the anthropomorphic genre. You've got Ninja Turtles, you've got Thundercats, and there's a bunch of other different, you know, derivative things. But I think that's what's so fun. I mean, you know, living in I mean, I consider Canada and America and Mexico all the same thing. Just, you know, we're all kind of like, we just got this kind of like little fake dotted line, but our cultures are like mixing and matching and everything. And I lost my train of thought, but what was I talking about? It's too late. My brain's dead.
Talking about Mexico.
We love Mexico. We love Canada. we love Mexican syrup and Canadian tequila.
We got room to coexist. You know, room to coexist. Like,
it's cool to have such a big giant variety of stuff, and I agree with pretty much everything that Brick said. And one of the things that I wanted to add on to what Brick was saying about, you know, those big companies doing the like the HasLab and the Mattel thing, I think it's kind of like a two-pronged idea, where they obviously want to make sure that there's the demand for it, but I think there's also a strategy of kind of tying up collectors and customers' finances, because like all of those projects that they're doing are essentially like, you know, a month's rent. So what does that do? That basically takes, you know, stuff that might be going to indie lines and removes that from the market. They've got that like tied up, and the stuff that they're offering for the most part are like these grail items where like people that have invested in Star Wars or you know, Mythic Legions or whatever, not Mythic Legions, Marvel Legends, are like, I have to have this Galactics, or I have to have this Ghost, you know. So it's really hard for them to pass up those kind of things where they've got so much invested into that particular line. But I've never been that much of a vehicle collector, so it doesn't really affect me that much. And I'm obviously more interested in indie stuff. I feel that there's, you know, I'm obviously biased, but I feel like there's something that's very refreshing about starting brand new, where you don't have all the baggage of like, I keep going back to Batman because I really enjoy Batman, but it's like, you know, there's 80 years of like story and all this stuff that comes with that character and that line, where it's like, this is like we've got like 8 characters, and you're like, okay, there's 8 characters. That's not too much. I can get like 6 of those characters and kind of discover the story and everything on its own. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the way our culture operates is like the variety of life makes it interesting and accessible, and the things that there's certain things that are going to stick and certain things that'll stand the test of times, and then other things will just kind of fade away, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of how we work.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said.
100%. I mean, like, there definitely is enough for everybody, I think. And Ken, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, in the independent toy creator space, like everyone kind of knows everyone, right? Like one of the first things I did when I walked into the door at Joe Fest, I mean, Jason's booth was right next to the door. One of the first things I did is introduce myself, took some selfies, looked at some of his product, and like one of his main helpers was Jeremy Jernigan. On the Saturday night, I don't know if Jason or Jeremy told you, we pretty much like, here we are, 2 independent toy line representatives. We just drank all night long. Like, yeah, I guess like he did tell you, like it's midnight, and me and Jeremy are like, we're gonna keep going. It's 1 a.m. We're gonna keep going. It's 2 a.m. We're gonna keep going. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I never asked him directly, but I'll ask you, how was he at the booth on the Sunday? Because I was pretty rough on the Sunday.
He said in the morning, he said, I'm gonna be a good boy today. Like like I could tell he was just like really hungover. It was funny.
Yeah,
he was okay.
So was I. I walked over to him around 11 a.m. I'm like, how you feeling? And he's like, I'm feeling how you're feeling right now. And I'm like,
yeah.
Right. So
Sundays are always kind of tough though, regardless. Even if you don't have like an all-night bender.
Oh, it is because it's the 3rd day of the show, right? But like, just to give you an idea, like that's just how it is with the independent creators, right? And like now the trade secrets that are with the big companies are now starting to make their way into the hands of the common man, the common collector. Like, Jason's just one of the boys, Travis just one of the boys, so is Ace, so is anyone that we talk to, right? So am I. And the way it is, like just even little things like, like we're looking at the hands of our Delta-17 figures, and we're like, no, we need to increase the degree of the PVC or decrease it to get it just pliable enough to get the weapons inside. Or if we have PVC weapons, we need to make sure that it's just bendable enough without, being too bendy to the point that it's like a rope, right? You have to
you really have to fine tune that stuff, and it's just one of those things that you just kind of do like a little bit of trial and error, So like that hammer that we had, it felt great, but it was snapping. So we were like, listen, it's got to be softer plastic, and that was the answer, because it was like recast all the hands or recast these hammers, So. Yeah.
And I don't know how it works for you, Jason, but like we only get so many rounds of test shots because they have to ship it from China, right? And then of course between the end of your tooling to when you start producing, there's not that much time. So like you'll get a test shot, you'll be like, oh, we have all these changes, and then they do those changes, but they can't send the next test shot that soon. So sometimes they send you a video of the person's fiddling with their hands, and you're like, I'd like to approve this, but I can't see with my own. Then a few weeks later, something comes in, and you're like, no, this joint is a little too loose, or like that accessory is just not pliable enough. Then you send that for the next test shot. Like, so there's a lot of stuff that just happens, a lot of nuances, a lot of risks you take.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, our project manager lives in Hong Kong, so dude, he's a Hasbro veteran, so like he's got a ton of experience.
That's right, you got Dave. That's
we work with Dave, and
he's an all-star. He's an all-star.
Dude, he's so great. And the one thing that I said as far as like proofing paint over the phone or for photos, I'll just say, it doesn't matter if it's overcast outside. Don't take, I can't approve paint stuff that's taken inside with like fluorescent light, because it's just not accurate. So a lot of times, like if Dave doesn't have stuff in hand, he's just got the factory sending stuff, I'm like, just have them go over to the window so that there's some natural light. Even if it's overcast, we'll get like an accurate view of what the color is, So,
and it happens. Well, they'll send us something, and we'll think, okay, it's a certain shade of green, and then we'll get it in hand. We're like, it's way too dark. Can you lighten it a little bit? And then they're kind of like, yeah, but we don't have that much time left. Okay, well, can you just lighten it by 5%? Oh, we got to.
That's normal. They're always going to push back on you, and it's like, well, it's not right. fix it. You know, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, and you got all this money tied up going into it and everything. Well, in my case, it's Steve's money, or the investor's money, right? But still,
Don't
right?
out Steve on the internet. You just outed Steve. Okay, well,
Yeah,
sorry, Steve.
I guess I kind of
Stop
did.
saying
anyway,
Steve's
so.
name, okay?
Yeah, I
Real
know.
quick,
Hey,
you know,
I
there's
wouldn't
something
have said Dave's name if you hadn't tagged him on Facebook. I was gonna leave that completely in the dark until you
Yeah,
tagged
I
him. I'm
was
like,
just
all right,
He's okay
cool.
with it.
Yeah, I
There was
figured he was.
something in that exchange that triggered just an addendum around your question, Jay, was about like, is there space? And so to take it on the sort of like supply end, these guys are like, oh, you're working with Dave too? Yes, so am I. The reality is like, one, there's only so many factories that are making action figures, right?
Right.
There's
Yeah.
only so many production
Yeah,
managers
I mean-
handling this stuff. So it's like part of the space thing is also on that end. Like how many lines and different companies can be serviced at this time, right? Now you're all vying for like, oh, we need this window. I need to produce this. And someone else is like, well, I need this window and I need to beat the holiday coming up. So that part of it, as far as the competition is a whole other
Yeah,
piece.
that's a very real thing. Like I don't think Dave's taking on any more customers right now because they're at capacity. They'll probably have to open up another factory in order to accommodate other customers. But what really starts to get to be like a bottleneck for productions is that factory doesn't produce their tooling in-house. So they've got to get a schedule of outsourcing that tooling. And that's like for Ken, like that's where stuff's going to start to bottleneck where, if they're just outsourcing all their tooling to one tooling factory, that's when scheduling starts to become an issue. Like I don't ask for exclusives for Joe Fest because I know they have Valiverse does something. I think Dime Novel Legends does something, and Marauders Task Force does something. So I'm like, okay, let me not drive Dave crazy and pile one more thing on him. This is more of a G.I. Joe convention. It's not that big a deal for me. Let him have some breathing room, and I'll focus on something like like a Power Con or a Legions Con or like a Toyland or something like that. That's where I'll ask for my stuff. Like there's Tanger right there. That was our exclusive.
Power Con.
It was about 3 months apart. Oh, wait, hold on, wait. Okay, all right now. Yeah, so
I can grab Beastman over there if you want.
That's the real thing. The customer base. The customer base is not quite as big of an issue as the factory reaching capacity, especially for the tooling. All that stuff takes a really long time to get going. It's I want to say it's like best case scenario is about 8 weeks. So
that's right.
And then there's everyone else's projects.
And it's hard
on
to
top
just
of yours.
jump to another factory because the tooling is kind of like unique to whatever that factory's machines have, right? So it's like
right, exactly. I mean, we're not really I mean, that's really Dave's. That's his specialty is forming those relationships and everything. And so luckily, it's not something that I'm like super knowledgeable or super stressed out about. So I kind of just let him do his thing,
I mean, that's a thing. So as far as like what can the market bear, that's the supply end. And then on the sort of like on the other end of consumers, it's what Jason said. I tend to agree with that notion that like I guess here's the deal. As we move further away from the era where we were all fed cartoons from the same 3 or 4 channels, right? And we were all watching the same thing. Like that era, of course, those lines were big because we were all watching the same thing. So we all had the opportunity to like the same things, the same 3 or 4 toy lines. And so they become these huge cultural touch points. Like, oh, everybody was watching Transformers, much in the same way that everyone loves Bach or Mozart, because really there were 12 people making music and compositions back then. But right now, it's just different. I think about the Four Horsemen in particular, where they're now doing their sort of they have 3 lines now, but when they came, the people that I was sort of seeing online talking about these things weren't always like, they weren't toy collectors all necessarily. Like some of them were coming from fantasy miniatures, and I'm into customizing and painting, and they sort of activated new markets to buy toys, right?
Thanks, Ray.
I just feel like that's the name of the game right now, is for all of you, the two of you who are making toy lines. The challenge is finding the people who actually are going to really love your product and become fans of your product. And they may not necessarily be people who buy toys in general. Like some of us, we're stuck. We've got the sickness and we're just looking to buy toys. But there are people out there.
I mean,
who are
that's
like,
why
that's a cool new toy line.
You know, I feel like a lot of times, like whenever a movie will do a video, like the video game is like the best or the most notorious thing where like it just feels very tacked on. And it's not necessarily that it was tacked on. It's just that there's such a small time to develop a video game compared to a movie that it just feels like an afterthought. So I wanted to be really kind of conscientious of making a really engaging comic book that if there was never a toy line, it could kind of stand on its own. And I feel, you know, I'm obviously achieved that, where we've got a really engaging story that just happens to be about, you know, well, not all about animals, but anyway.
Story is what sold me on, to be honest.
I think we
I'm gonna have to hop off in a second.
Adam. We got some lore, maybe.
I probably should not have taken melatonin before hopping on here.
You're muted, Jay.
Yeah. Jason, thank you for being here tonight. Along with yourself, Wraith Mace.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. And heading to bed. Have a good night, folks. Thank you, Wraith Mace, for being here tonight. Jason, thank you so much for being here tonight. Spero Toys,
yes,
everybody.
Sir. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Jason, can you just give us a glimpse, or at least a little bit of a taste as to maybe what you're working on in the future, or what the plans are for Spero Toys and Animal Warriors of the Kingdom?
Yeah, so you know, we've got waves 3 in production. Hopefully they'll be here sometime this month, and then we're rolling into wave 4, which is our Gladiator line. After that, we are going to offer just one figure. It's a special figure. It's something that we feel will be kind of like it'll kind of be a breakout figure in the same way that Thane was, where it's like, you know, it's not going to be as big as this, but it's going to be a very engaging figure. And then in 2024, we'll do waves 5 and 6 for the AWOK line, and we are pursuing a really exciting license right now. So, you know, hopefully we'll kind of really impress them, and we'll get the license for it, and we'll be off to the races, so they say. And that's not any kind of like clue or anything. I just wanted to say that.
Well, that's exciting, and it is a clue. I think that we're we're looking at bigger and better things for Spero. Thank you so much, Jason, for being here tonight. It's
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It was so wonderful meeting you at PowerCon, and I hope that we'll see you again.
Yeah, same. Likewise.
Spero Toys will be at a I think it's Legion Con in a few months. I believe it's in November. And you guys can catch Spero Toys at Legion Con and see some of their newest releases. Right here. Travis will also be at Legion Con as well, so you can definitely
selling product.
Selling product. He's gonna be there, and I think I'm not sure Ramen Toy is gonna be there, but apparently HexaStack is doing something with Ramen right now, which is going to be excellent. Jason, thanks again for being here. What's your website, just in case everybody needs to reach you somehow?
So it is sperotoys.com. Monday, we're going to be having our Labor Day sale. It's a one-day sale, so hop on there and get your goodies. Treat yourself. You work too hard not to enjoy yourself.
Adam's squirming right now. Adam's like,
I'm sorry, Adam.
And Jason, you're welcome on my channel anytime you want to talk Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. I know we've touched base.
Man, yeah, I'd love to, man. That sounds great. Hopefully, it won't be at 1 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm teasing.
And Jason, you can.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Anytime you want. I don't have a show, but you can have your figures on my stands anytime you want.
That sounds great, man. It's an honor.
Love it.
That's what she said. All right, guys. Jason, thank you so much. You have a good night, my friend.
Thank you. Y'all take it easy. Y'all have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Night,
care.
Jason. Indie Toys.
Oh my gosh, this has been this has been one heck of a riveting discussion. I got to tell you, there's so many things happening right now in the indie toy scene. I did want to while I still had it up, I did actually want to showcase. I wish I had this up before, but guys, definitely check out SperoToys.com. I mean, they got a huge product line right now. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. They unveiled so many different new figures at PowerCon and new variants as well. They actually have these are the Gladiator wave, isn't that right? If I'm mistaken, guys, right? And of course the comic books themselves. And of course, we have two experts on the comics right here, highly articulated, and of course, Brick Something. If you guys want to get caught up on the lore of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, you definitely have to check out Brick Something and Highly Articulated on YouTube. These guys are awesome. They're always pushing. They're always pushing Animal Warriors of the Kingdom whoever will listen to them. So it's a lot of fun. These guys are awesome. Thank you guys for that. I did want to also showcase really quickly. Where the hell did it go? I guess I'll just bring it up. HexaStack again, guys, is 6 days ago, and some idiots talking right now. They are 58 backers, and whatever attention we can get on this, guys, please share and comment, and just tell everybody about HexaStack. It's an amazing product, which I think that everyone can actually use some sort of stacking system for their action figures. Definitely check out the video, even though some idiot made it, and just like watch it. Learn more about the system. Travis, what more can you tell us? And you said you were going to show something here tonight. Is there something you wanted to?
Yeah. Do you mind if I share one of my screens?
Of course, brother. Let's take a look at that. Who's that?
Let's see if I can do this. So share screen.
You're on mute.
Here.
And you're on mute.
There we go. Am I on mute or am I good?
No.
No, you're good. You're good. There was a siren going by, and I didn't want anyone to know I was being arrested. But I just threw the belt out the door and said, "You can have it back."
So on my screen here, you can see we have the original HexaStack model that we had designed leading up to PowerCon. This is what everything we were marketing based on the feedback, like I said, to make it future proof with the injection molding. I've made some changes here. What you'll see is a larger stand, so much larger. So the distance on it. So these are all going to go by the wayside. And what you're going to have is the larger size here. And I'll adjust my camera so you can see the way these things stack up. Mm-hmm. But I don't have all the magnets in here, but things are a little bit different. But you can see.
That blowback? Oh, it is. It's blowback. Nice.
Yep, that's blowback from the Valaverse. You can see. Sorry for the moving camera here, guys. Just trying to show it, but you have the same kind of setup here, but it's a larger scale. You'll notice one of the things that's also I'm really excited about is the space that you have for the pegs. So the pegs now are a larger space within the hexagon is much larger than what was previously. This is helping balance them out. You can see the difference in the piece there. None of the cost is going up on these. It's all going to be the same. I've removed the magnets. Instead of having magnets, we use a piece of metal in one of them. But what it'll do is it'll still connect to the unit the same way. These ones just finished today, so I don't have the magnets and metal inserted. But it's also the way I'm using these blocks and such. It's just a more efficient product for the assembly and whatnot. All still working the same. Branded on the bottom with the HexaStack logo and name. But it'll all work exactly the same as what you guys have seen, with the exception that's a larger space, allows for the the figures to stand a little bit more comfortably, and allows a little bit more posability between them. All still interlocks exactly as you guys have become accustomed to with the other models, and whatnot, and allows also no longer having to worry about the polarities of the sides. All these sides are going to connect together the way you would expect them to. So yeah, this is the newer model. And then one of the other things is, obviously, with a bigger stand comes more space. So you have a much larger capacity for storage. As you can see in one of the older, this is a broken model, but you can see the space that was there is significantly larger now for storage. So even more accessories will go in your accessory unit. So that's that.
Huh. Interesting.
Cool. Jay, I think you're muted, or at least I can't hear you.
I'm always muted. It's just a common problem. Guys, thank you so much. Travis, thank you so much for that. Thank you, Silver K, for the link. Hashtag back the stack.
Thank you.
Kickstarter.com/project/HexaStack. We got to work on that, Travis.
Faster link, hexa-stack.com.
There you go.
We'll take you right to the Kickstarter, and then keep a lookout for after the Kickstarter ends for the HexaStack.com, as that will be the retail shop that you can purchase it online.
Thanks. That's excellent. And of course, Travis will be at Legion Con later this year. It's going to be exciting. You definitely have to see these things in action, guys. It really is. There are only 5 days left on the Kickstarter itself. Where the heck did it go? But guys, definitely share this out. Let's try to get Travis as close to the goal as possible. This is a learning experience at the end of the day, as Travis has said. Something where many people who start a Kickstarter usually go through this round of learning and experience, and at the end of the day, the kind of people who are interested in this, they need to be told that it exists. Definitely check out the Kickstarter. Please, share it out on your social media. Let everybody know who you think is an action figure lover of toys. I mean, how many of us aren't on this channel and in this community? And of course, any support that you guys can send through the Kickstarter would be much appreciated. Thank you again, Travis, for being here tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. We have a whole bunch of thank you guys for being here tonight. We couldn't get to any chats. I couldn't even do any shout outs for people. It's just been a riveting chat for this entire evening. Let's just take a couple of questions while we have some time. Wookie Sasquatch, I really need that Monster Force Sasquatch. When does that go on pre-order? Does anybody know when Monster Force Sasquatch goes on pre-order?
Is that wave 3 or what? Like they just put wave 2. They just put wave 2 up for pre-order, right? So
anyway, that was just a tease that for something coming later. So that's not yet.
Yeah, you almost need somebody
to do that.
Yeah,
yeah,
you almost
they were
need
able
somebody
to do that.
From Fresh Monkey Fiction or someone to answer that question, right? So.
Right. And they were able to do that because they actually are just sort of like working with the manufacturer of this toy to use that exact same body. So it was kind of ready to go. But just again, to speak to the point of indie toys working together, like that Fresh Monkey Fiction figure is literally like working with another company, Memory Toys, who released this figure. They said, hey, can we use that body? They created a whole other head, and they're getting Gridiron to do the weapons. So it's like this big collab, which is kind of fascinating.
Much love for Gridiron. Mark, if you're out there, you're the man.
Do they have Gridiron producing them, or Gridiron doing the design for them?
You know what? As far as if I don't actually know because I thought about that too. Like, are they independently producing it in the factory, then shipping it and combining it into a box? Like, I don't know. That seems like a lot to me. So I don't know.
Yeah. I know with Gridiron, all their stuff is printed. He was on a show the other day, and I was actually talking to him, getting in touch with him because he was providing a ton of feedback. And I kind of asked him some questions. Hey, why are you doing 3D printing versus the resin? Just curious, because as somebody who's breaking into it, wanted to know. So I know all of the stuff that they deliver today is currently like a high resin print of some formula that they use. So I'm just curious on. I'm assuming
then I can't answer that because these will not be resin. These are going to be
factory.
Produced at the factory.
Okay.
So
okay, cool. That's awesome.
Gregorio says, I'm pretty sure this is Spanish. Excellent video. Excellent. Yeah, excellent live. I always watch your programs, and greetings from New York City. So, gracias, Gregorio. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you for watching.
Perdón, mi español es muy limitado.
Well, there you go. Because I'm even worse. I had to do that Google Translate just in the background there. Rookie Sasquatch at Robin Toy, but that doesn't mean that we don't love you, my friend. That's definitely not a slight. But we had better Espanol over here. Robin Toy, I think you should get permission to work on whatever you want. You do excellent work. Yes, so Wookie Sasquatch is definitely a supporter of Ramen Toy. Thank you so much. Justin Mohan. This is a really great live stream and great topic with amazing guests. Thank you so much, Justin. You're pretty cool yourself, my friend. Jason, will Spero Toys expand beyond AWOK with a new original IP? I think he answered that just before
he said that earlier. Yeah, which is perfect. Yeah.
But just sorry, I was just going to say, but he did. Exactly. He did say he's licensing an IP or attempting to. So wouldn't I assume it's not new original?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that would be. I'm interested. I wanted to ask him a follow-up question on that. Like,
well, hey, you know what? Adam's biting his lip right now. I don't know why.
I was just gonna say, can I give you all advice right now? Is if you're ever invited to a card game with Adam, don't. He's got a great poker face.
Adam, if you start driving south, Adam, you and I can technically meet. So, yeah.
I'm gonna spam that customer service at Spero email tonight when I'm done on this chat.
Adam is not feeling well right now. He's actually under the weather. We're just punching him in the ribs at this point. Robin Toy, thank you again for the $250 Hong Kong $250 Hong Kong dollar super chat. I'm gonna read this out one more time because we almost got an answer. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Since we have the main man at the helm of Spero Toys, can I get your permission to do environments for your figures since it was requested by your fans? If we should get in touch to get your designs. Adam, not saying anything out loud, but I think Jason said that he might be engaging at some point. So what are your thoughts on, like, do you have any thoughts on environments or dioramas or play sets? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I can only speak to the conversations that I've had with Jason as a fan, and I've said, play sets or something will be cool. And he's, just to echo what he said, it's just not really on his radar. There's so many figures that he wants to do that's kind of the lane that he's looking to stay in. And as he said, people keep saying like, oh, there should be a cartoon, there should be a movie, blah, blah. I mean, that's the goal. I don't think he's sort of making that a secret. Like he would love that. Right. Brick and I talk about, the other IPs that sort of influence AWOK or the influences that we see in AWOK. Jason's not trying to cover any of those up. He's not trying to say that this is like an IP that just came to him in a vision, like this is an amalgamation of all the things that, all of us are passionate about, right? It's Motu, it's Thundercats, it's, whatever, you pick your thing, because Brick and I, listed off, a whole laundry list of things that sort of influenced the AWOK IP. And he would love to do, a cartoon. He would love for there to be a video game. He would love for there to be like another line that's just like a kid's line. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's doing 6-inch highly articulated action figures, but you could also have, the less articulated ones that are lower price points, so on and so forth. But all that comes in time, right? He's not trying to run before he walks. Vehicles came up too in conversation, and it's the same thing. It's like, look, if the market is there, if the customer base is there, then it's something that they would look into. But it's a totally different, it's a totally different beast once you start getting into things that aren't just action figures. It's funny that like right off the jump, people are asking for that. It speaks to like how excited people are about this world, right? you know, you look at other IPs, you look at other toy lines that have been around for a while. I mean, Mythic Legion's been around for a while. They don't have any play sets. They don't have, you know, they're doing the same thing, right? Like they're just sort of staying in their lane, doing what they do best. We'll probably get a dragon at some point. But, you know, play sets are kind of one of those things where, like, you know, you're never gonna make enough play sets for the people that want them, and you're gonna struggle. Oh man, Jason's sending me pictures right now.
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. I'm so disappointed.
Hope they're
in you.
better
How you
than
gonna
the ones I
say
got
that?
from Ken
Is he
today.
watching this and sending you photos?
I don't know.
That's just so
Maybe.
wrong.
Oh man.
The felon. Oh my god! You're bullshitting us. Stop it.
No, I'm not. I'm
Oh,
not
for
at all. He just sent me.
This
he talked
happens a
about
lot,
the
guys.
special
Oh.
figure, and I knew he was working on something, and he sent me the pictures of the special figure. Man, if people pass on Tanger, no one's passing on this thing.
Oh my god!
Is it what we can see in the mirror behind you? Is that what it is? That's reflecting
You're,
off the mirror.
you know, if I was in Ken's space, it
Yeah.
might have reflected, but I don't have anything reflective.
that's what
And
gave me
not
the
by
idea.
accident either.
Fellow attorney final attorney Oregon IRL. Thank you for the $5 super chat, my friend. You're awesome. Sorry for letting the membership lapse. Got a new. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. Dude, you don't have to like. Wow, why would you draw attention to that? Why would you draw attention? Thank you, but don't worry about that. Jeez, wait.
The first of the month, Jay, a lot of Patreons and channel memberships get reset. Like people drop out.
I love
Yeah,
you guys.
I know it happens to me every month. All of a sudden, I drop 2 or 3 patrons, and then they're back like 4 days later.
You know what? Here's the thing. It doesn't bother me at all. Thank you guys so much for the support, regardless of whether it renews, it auto renews, whatever. I know for a fact that channel memberships, they sort of like they come and go all the time, right? It's fine. It's fine.
What I also
appreciate-
love, Jay, is that he did that in a super chat. So
I
I'm
know.
just like, this
It's like what? Just to like
Hey, make
really
sure
draw-
you pull up the comment that I lapsed on my.
Yeah,
I love it,
membership.
felon attorney.
That's so crazy,
amazing.
right? It's
So
like,
it's such a courteous thing to say, though.
It is, and you know what?
Very courteous.
The community is so giving and so generous. You guys are
That shows the type of community that's been built
yeah,
around here.
100%.
Yeah,
Thank you guys.
it makes
Thank
me
you
a
guys.
little nervous, though. It makes me wonder if, like, Mega J is the type of person who's going to break fingers or something that I got to apologize within moments of being I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We know that's not the case.
I'm gonna
You're
grab-
boxed there, Jack.
I'm gonna grab Tanger's big mallet and just start whacking hands.
Yeah, some of us completely fell asleep at the wheel when Tanger went up for pre-order. Just so you know,
Oh my
right? So
gosh.
I
No,
wanted to real quick, Jay. You
Yeah.
were saying that we almost got an answer. I think my understanding is that we did get an answer around that Ramen Toys question for Spero, and that I think Ramen Toy Ace definitely. If you didn't catch that, just hit up Jason and have a conversation, because I think before Adam got distracted by his phone.
Yeah, what was I
it's kind of
saying?
what
I
I was
can't even
saying.
remember
It's what I
anymore.
was saying
I'm
earlier.
still looking
is-
at the pictures.
what I was saying earlier is that, and I think Jason was saying the same thing. He's like, I'm busy making figures. So, but of course, if someone were to say, hey, like, I'd be willing to make some cool sets that could work with your figures, I think there's a conversation that could go a little further, which is what I was hoping to do as I kind of was putting that into the chats. Because I want to see Ramen not have to worry about cease and desist, because the ideas that are coming out of Ramen are fantastic, and they need to be produced. So like maybe one way to just bypass all that is just to work with someone and just give us
The
some cool
indies.
stuff and have it produced. So
Work with
Absolutely.
indie guys that are coming up right now, like Jason and such, as opposed to dealing with all those IPs that are, shackled to the grandfathers of the business.
Absolutely.
and I know it's hard because you don't know if you're going to get the same orders and all that, but I mean, at least have a
AWOK's balling
conversation.
out. AWOK's
Yeah.
balling out, man. I mean, they're gonna make enough money
Stay
off
tuned.
me. And Ramen, I can speak, Ace, I can speak directly, having been in touch with Jason for several months now. He is very approachable, easy to deal with, and whatnot. So definitely you reach out to him. And then
Hey,
just tell them
Adam.
that, when we're done producing those HexaStacks,
He's just
we
gonna
just need one
forward
in
the
each box.
emails to me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, hey,
not-
hey, Adam, did that
you're not-
figure seem to need a particular environment? Never mind.
You're not. You're
Did
not
it need a
making.
stand?
You're not making any friends. You're not making any friends tonight, Adam. Silver K's. You're on her radar. She's saying, "Damn it, Adam! Like, what the dick?"
Oh, Silver K likes a good tease.
She's-
She can appreciate a good tease.
oh my gosh, just freaking crazy. She's got her eye. She's got her eye on you, Adam. She's literally.
You know what? I'll say this. I mean, Brick knows this because I tell Brick that I get pictures, and he's like, "Oh, let me see," and I'm like, "No." It's.
I don't say that often. I kind of just like,
No, because
Does
I don't
Jason
tell
need
you
any
all
help?
the time when I get the pictures either. So
yeah, but I
Adam.
mean, I don't know. I just figure it's not my place.
Adam, do you need a junior email checker? Because I'll help you out, man.
No,
Do you need like a?
These don't come through email. These don't come through email. These are. Yeah, this is a totally different channel that these come through. So that's
just making everybody jealous.
Yeah.
Everybody all jealous and stuff.
Hey man, I'll tell you
but
what.
Adam, you will share it with people who were not only in your same time zone, but in your same province with the same citizenship.
Ken,
as
you know
you
that
like,
I won't, because you've tried before.
you just give me your login information. I don't need to say it was, and the login will be like you were logged in from like, a few hours away. It was like you were on a little road trip.
I'll say this. Where normally, con exclusives or like special edition figures or whatever are kind of like repaints or, kind of an amalgamation of things that we've seen before. This is not one of those. This is if you thought Thane's hammer banged you over the head hard, this thing is on another level.
Oh, it better be an app.
It's awesome, man. That's all I'm saying.
Poker face, man. That's messed up.
Crazy.
Blink twice if it's sharp.
Sharp?
An axe, like a battle axe of some sort. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I'm looking at the full figure.
That's crazy. Ramen Toy says those HexaStacks will look so much better with actual injection molding pieces versus 3D. And of course, we know now that Ramen had an inside spec on that because he even said HexaStacks, unless I'm mistaken, can also go be Mark II version with bigger to accommodate bigger subjects, which is exactly what we saw tonight. So Ramen, we know what you're up to, you and HexaStack. So thank you for that. Justin Mohan says HexaStack is what the toy community needs for sure. Well, you know what, Justin, thank you for that. And check out the Kickstarter if you haven't already. Wookie Sasquatch, how do you find a toy company or whatever to do the actual production or something made of plastic or whatever to get a quote for the cost involved to be able to plan your Kickstarter? You had a name drop tonight, but the reality, Wookie Sasquatch, is you got to do your research, and that's what it ends up being. There's a lot of reputable and not so reputable reps out there. I hate to say it that way, but that's actually true.
There's not as many reputable ones as people think. Ken can attest to that.
Can I just offer to Wookie Sasquatch, do what you did tonight, which is trying to reach out to the people, and like as we've said, people like Jason and maybe Delta-17. I don't know, but like people talk.
Ramen,
and that's how they all get.
He was offering right there in the chat, right? Yep. And to what Adam said, like there's some really reputable ones. Adam, you and I know the 4 or 5 names. We don't know them personally for the most part, right? For the most part. But if you get the wrong factory and the wrong project manager, things could go sideways. Because and this became public later on. But like if you remember, there was a 3 3/4 bootlegging type company called Red Laser's Army a little while ago. They had that problem where they could not go to a reputable factory because it was bootleg. Like really bootleg, like right down to the mold, not like we're not talking like when the IP is bootleg, but you do your own engineering from the ground up. When you actually take somebody else's mold. Actual, or like they reverse engineer the mold to look exactly like to somebody else's. It's hard to get a reputable project manager for that. Like the person said he couldn't get a hold of his project manager for a long time. This stuff shipped, all the tolerances were way off. he basically just said, you know what, if you're not going to get it done, send me the unassembled parts and I will assemble them here. And it was like 20,000 figures just showed up and he and his friends assembled them. It was that bad, like if you get the wrong person. But that's, if you're doing your own unique IP, it's a lot easier to get somebody who's reputable. So, but my point there was that, you know, if you just try to get anybody, you might get that kind of a person. But like we said, there's a handful of people out there who are very reputable. But I don't know if Ace wants to step into that, because like and help, because he's got a network of contacts. Because Adam, among the people you and I mentioned, that was before we knew Ace, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Add his name to the game, right? Clearly his stuff is good.
And just to add from that, right? Like obviously I'm not creating toys. It's an accessory line, but having really and I don't know whose name it was that asked the question, but coming to these shows, listening to, you know, the YouTubers on here is kind of where it starts. And honestly, like when I came up with the HexaStack concept, I just kind of reached out to like one or two people, and then it, you know, slowly trickled. And then, you know, I presented on one of the YouTube shows the idea. Obviously, you know, presenting the idea too soon without enough preparation can run into some hiccups. So definitely do your homework. But what I would say is that these channels are a prime area to, you know, get contacts. The name that Ken mentioned is someone who I had talked to early on. When I first got into this back in May. So I know the same guy. I've talked to him through email. A very busy individual, very friendly, and comes highly recommended. And then there was other folks that I met through, you know, being at PowerCon. I had, you know, some of those, and then, you know, I had a number of, you know, factories reach out to me in preparation to PowerCon, wanting to meet while we were there so that they could discuss, you know, potential, you know, factory, you know, builds. So, you know, it's a good opportunity just being in the community. You know, one of the things that I think I did, which helped me get the support of so many of the awesome people that have had me on the shows, is really, the last year and a half, I've been in the community. I've been chatting, I've been asking questions, you know, championing and supporting everything that I enjoy. And folks have, you know, seen that I'm genuine and I'm not someone who's just going to fly through and disappear. And that, you know, people are willing to share a little information as you get to know them. So, you know, unlike Adam, who's up there staring at pictures that we are all being envious of, and, you know, people do share information. It's a wonderful community.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about tonight, but like 5 minutes after Adam said what he saw, Steve just messaged me an idea for Wave 2 on Delta-17. I don't know if you heard the ping. Did you hear the ping?
You just want to look cool.
It's so funny.
You want to look cool like I
You are daring me to share what he just shared. I had to close that tab.
You guys are...
I'll show you yours if you show me mine.
Oh!
I'll show you mine. Whatever, like however it works. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Whatever the words are.
Double dog dare you.
I double, triple dog.
You should have saw what Bret Hart just sent me, and it was video of him admitting to tapping out to Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series. But hey, I won't show it to you. Oh man, Lordess Desses. Am I reading that right? Lordesses.
I don't know, but that's awesome.
Ooh,
Teach me how to do that.
Lordesses. Lordesses. Somebody read that. Somebody else read that. Lordesses. Lordess.
You don't want me to try.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Lordesses. Late to the party. This Lord.
Oh, Lordess? No, Lord. I can't even.
I think it's Lordess. And that's so anyway. Lord. Dude, you're awesome. Late to the party. This may have already been covered, but I was wondering if any of you are working on any indie figures in the pro wrestling line. Ken?
Isn't there somebody doing that right now? They're making like Kerry Von Erich, Magnum TA. What's the name of the company again?
You look up
I
think it's Pro Wrestling Town or something like
that. Matt Cardona's been showing stuff.
That's right. They're making a Stan Hansen. They all like there's a wave of 6 figures coming out that will scale with your Mattel Classics. If you just look up like indie company Stan Hansen scales with Mattel Classics, you know, Kerry Von Erich.
Powertown Wrestling.
That's the one. Yeah.
And I can't say anything about them. I haven't purchased them. I haven't seen them in hand. I just know that they're out there.
Yeah, that's who I was
for them.
You know,
I don't know them, but I was tempted by a few figures, right? So
you know who the wrestling
they have like a Matt Cardona coming.
You know who the wrestling freaks are in this chat for sure. I mean, like,
I could talk wrestling all day, but people drop off. So,
apparently, so.
You know, You know, Travis and I can go for a while. Let's open Lawrence from.
All right,
maybe that's an angle that I need to pitch to Jason though, like a wave of like tribute figures to like pro wrestlers.
You mean like the He-Man
in
type
animal
stuff?
forms?
Gladiator Wave's already there.
I was gonna
He's
say
halfway there. That's what I thought. He's
Gladiator
halfway there
Pale
with
looks
Gladiator.
so good. Like ridiculously good. I was like, oh my god! Like I don't normally like getting two of the same character so early in a line, but when I saw Pale, I was like, but this fits, and it's the main character, and Atreyu's like the secondary lead. So
Because
it's like
it's the
works.
wrestling wave.
I wondered what it was I liked
go.
about it. You know,
There you
I
go.
wonder if it could do a sharpshooter.
All right, Adam.
No, but they're good at tapping.
Don't make me switch in music over there.
Adam, here's a question that's close to home. I'm surprised about this, but I guess you can answer this question maybe. Hal Jordan asks, does Spero's site ship to Canada?
I answered it in the chat.
Oh,
it
you did?
does,
Okay.
but in my opinion, and I love Jason, but I also love Mike from eCollectibles. You probably get it a little bit quicker and probably the same price just ordering it from ecollectibles.ca.
Well, does Mike still have free shipping over 125 Canadian?
Yeah.
So then you're probably good there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
The shipping and duties is what kind of kills it, but
Yeah.
This comment's awesome. Largo's Lair
Yeah,
says
man.
independent creators are changing the landscape for the better.
So Largo and Wilhelm have like an independent 1/18th scale dedicated show every Sunday. So yeah, if Largo, you're still around, that's want to say thanks to you and Will for that.
Absolutely, that's incredible. Once again, huge thanks to Drew Chase for the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Drew. You're awesome. Josh Orgborn. Josh Orgborn, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, my friend. Hasbro and Mattel are being locked into specific price points and budgets and do nothing but limit what we can get. That is that's a quite the observation, Josh. I mean, like I can't. It's hard to say anything against that. Really, they could take notes from this live stream. 100. You know what? That's not untrue, I guess. Yeah.
You know what I think I've mentioned this person before, but there was, a certain brand manager involved at Mattel for many years. And if you watch his videos, and I learned a lot from his videos, but that resonates with that last comment in that, like, if you're working for those large companies, there are some real limits that you need to work on in terms of how much money you have to carry out your line. So, and I understand why that is. So it makes it hard also for them to kind of do some innovation. I was just holding like an 11-inch Mythic Legions figure and a giant troll I was putting away, and then a little it's really tough to do that in that corporate setting and pitch to the people above you to say, hey, we want to do like a larger scale action figure that's completely different from the rest of it. Like, wait, what? No.
You juggle a lot in those large corporations. Like I was talking to Corey Cantaloupe at the Joe Fest there, because he was, Travis, you probably met him at PowerCon when he was with Boss Fight there. But like he was juggling so many figures in the G.I. Joe Classified line as a sculpting manager, and so many figures in the Power Rangers Lightning collection, and all that while trying to deal with management at the top. There's a lot you take on, to live your dream and live your passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kenzo,
I talked to him briefly on Instagram, but I didn't get a chance to connect with him at PowerCon. Wonderful guy, though.
Wonderful dude.
Yeah. Kenzo's Creation says picked up $3 Ric Flair Superstars today. Woohoo! Great, good for you, Kenzo.
Who retired him?
Oh, come on. Retirement's never permanent in wrestling.
Truth.
I get excited when I recognize a wrestler's name. Like, oh, that's the bleach blonde one. That's that guy.
Travis likes to test my memory on these deep cuts, on this deep cut knowledge. WrestleMania 24, wasn't it? Or 24, I think. 23? 24. 23. 23,
I don't
24,
remember
whatever.
the number. It would probably be about 24-ish.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
MIS1. Hey, Jay, did you get your 89 Batmobile? No! I received an email from Amazon, which I have never seen before. They said that they emailed me saying that my 89 Batmobile was delayed, and if I wanted to cancel. I was like, are you absolutely out of your minds? I said, no, I do not want to cancel. I've never seen that email. I've never seen an email like that. ever before in my life, and I was like, "Holy crap! I didn't even know these things existed."
Well, Amazon has sent the emails before that say to keep your shipment, please click this.
I've never received any of those.
I
Never.
got that before.
This is crazy. Hollywood Purgatory. What do you guys think about the Starship Eternia for the upcoming Mattel Master
fan
Universe
vote, right?
Fan vote. Yes.
I want the Eternals Palace.
And everyone, that's a high on. I got that.
Or the is it the Gigantosaur or Gigantosaurus? How do you say his name?
Gigantosaurus.
Geek Dad Life talked about it recently.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
I want the Fright Zone that you shared.
Yeah, the one
as well as the Whispering
yeah.
Woods.
That was the Whispering Woods is ridiculous. Oh my god, sorry guys. That would be insane. There are so many dream parks. But you know what? I was watching Fanboys Forever, and he made a good point. I don't think they're gonna let us just willy-nilly vote. I think they're gonna give us a list of like 4 different items, and we just have to pick from those. I think that's probably the way. But Mattel's not gonna let us pick, the sky. They're not gonna let us do that because all of a sudden we have the Fright Zone. We're like, we need that Fright Zone, and it's never gonna happen. It's just
Triclops.
yeah.
Ric Flair.
Yeah,
Adam,
absolutely.
I did it.
I just noticed the shirt you're wearing. That's a D13 shirt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just picked up the indie shirt you're wearing. That's awesome.
You know what, Jay? Oz, Eldor, and I were talking about that Eternia's Choice today. Excuse me. Yeah. And I was reminded about this. You're right. I think it's going to be simpler to sort of give you a list for a number of reasons. But we were talking, and I was reminded by the whole Lego conversation that it is possible for companies to kind of create a situation where you come up with an idea and fans vote. So it's not unprecedented. And again, I think that's a new thing in this new age where because of the technology and because of the access to the fans and all that, there are ways that even large companies like Lego are able to kind of do things like that. Like literally people can suggest ideas out of the sky, other fans vote on it. So like at that point, you're already gauging market interest if like a bunch of people are behind it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. I'm with what is it? Fanboys.
Fanboys Forever. Yeah.
Fanboys Forever. In that it's probably going to be like a slim down, trimmed down. Here's a menu. What do you want?
Yep.
And the Jurassic Park gates will be right there is one of the options.
The Motu gates.
Oh my god, the Motu gates. That's right. Alberto Morales. Great toys, great people, great community. Independent guys are pushing the boundaries. Yes, indeed, Alberto. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, my friend. Random diorama. You can eat the big guys until they're toast, and then it will kind of recycle the process, rebirth, and renew. A lot of great comments tonight in the chat. Mothman 46, Jay, are you are the toy news what the heck? Jay, you are the toy news we dream of. What? What are you talking about? Dream of is nobody dreams of toy news. Come on.
That's not true.
We dreamt of as kids. You were the video version of the toy dream. Yeah, okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say like the book we used to get at Toys R Us at the end at Christmas time, man. You're the live version of that for us, dude. Like I would wait.
Still get it.
I didn't get the. Oh, thanks.
Sucks
you got everything, Adam. You got everything.
Sucks now.
Can we get rid of them?
You with your healthcare and your
Mothman 46.
Healthcare, Toys R Us Christmas catalog.
Oh, I was talking about the pictures you got 10 minutes ago.
Pictures of action figures.
Exactly.
But it's true, Jay. Like
you're that.
You're that, and also like imagine if we were kids back in the day, and then we got to like read about all the things that people were just thinking about doing.
Yeah,
like because that's what's happening now. Hey, we heard this. Check out this leak. Check out this. It's just a different world, and I think all of us are excited about it. Like
I gotta sort of jump on that from the perspective of somebody that it's like for the longest time I was just on the I was on the fan side, right? And I'm still on the fan side, 100% on the fan side with one foot on the other side where I get to kind of get a glimpse into what's going on.
You're just pushing it.
And man, the glimpse is something else. No, but
You're gonna get super kicked by me, and then Ken's gonna put you in the sharpshooter. It's gonna be the first time
Ken
those two
fell
come
asleep.
together.
Ken fell
I
asleep.
know we're all kidding, but just to be clear, remember that he
Are
is
they kidding,
now
though?
help at Spero Toys and
Oh,
everything
yeah.
that he has to deal with.
Are
So
they kidding
like,
though? Like,
No,
give
but
him this, folks.
oh my god.
no, well, what I was actually gonna say, I completely forgot.
Sorry.
Brick, what was the last thing you said? Because that's what
We're
makes.
talking about being the catalog and then hearing now, oh, there's
Like
these.
one
Oh, yeah,
foot in
yeah,
the
yeah,
door,
yeah,
one
yeah.
foot out the door.
The expedited process, right, between when we hear about a thing, when we pre-order a thing, when it gets delivered, so on and so forth. When we were kids, it was like, you'd see it on a peg and you'd either get it or you wouldn't. But that was the process, right? Now, we know about pipeline reveals and then digital render reveals and then pre-orders and then, oh, the street date says this. Oh, well, I heard in this country they're getting it at a different time. Like, it's kind of spoiled the whole process, right? Like, because now everything has to be right away and everything has to be like. So I opened the Snow Serpent today, the G.I. Joe Classified Snow Serpent, and some people haven't gotten it yet. And yesterday I opened the Valkyries, and some people haven't gotten it yet. And the day before I opened the Eels, and some people couldn't even pre-order it. I think somebody in the comments said that they got an Amazon email that said they got theirs canceled. Like, and the weird thing is, like, we get so hung up on the latest toy, right? But we kind of forget how we're running out of space, right? We're all in that boat where we're all like, well, if I had more space, I could probably get, into this line, or I could get whatever. Jay can't even sit on his couch because it's covered in toys. Like, so people are hung up on like, oh, what about the toy I'm going to get tomorrow? But we like, turn around and look at the shelf. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many good toys, and we kind of like lose track of how many good toys we have and how many are already out. And what I mean to say by all of this is, if you're missing an Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figure, it's coming. Just hold on. It'll get there.
Just and order it on Monday, right?
Look, it's
And
I mean, this is 2 hours in or 2.5 hours into the stream or whatever. I'm happy to say this. Spero Toys is like Jason. That's the company. I answer the emails. I forward the emails to like Jason in an Excel spreadsheet, basically. And then he and another guy in the warehouse like pull and pack the orders. I think people have an idea that it's Hasbro Pulse and that there's a warehouse full of people. Because admittedly, I say warehouse, and what I mean is a storage locker full of action figures that Jason goes to and pulls the orders. Like, it's indie toy companies don't work the same way as the
Can
big
I just
guys
add
do.
to that, Adam? It's the storage locker. So people think, oh yeah, they've got like a whole wing. Like, no, next door is your grandma's old crap.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then somebody else's grandma's next to it. But the one unit just happens to be Spiro's.
One day Storage Wars is going to be on,
And
and
Friday-
somebody's
I was
going to
gonna say-
roll open a shutter, and they're going to be like, "Look, what is Spero Toys? What are all?"
I
these-
hope no. That can't happen, because if that happens, it means we didn't get Wave
No, it'll
4 and
happen
5.
because Jason will forget that he rented an extra locker and forgot to like
That's where all the a trio is, right? Or-
all the
That's-
special
that's
figures
that's
are
what's
in
going
the
on.
locker.
All those convention exclusives.
Mhm.
Oh man.
That's when they all
Although
end
I
up.
will say, maybe part of the process with getting a response from help at Spero Toys is because in between looking at your email, he got another email from Jason that showed him this new figure, and the whole day was lost because he was
He's over there.
distracted.
He's over there prepping up his notes for the AWOK talk so that he can give some lure info.
Okay, here's some insider information that nobody will care about, but it's funny. I'm not on the Spero payroll. Like, I'm doing this for free. I volunteered to do this because I love Jason to death, and he's a creative and I'm a logistics person. I said, okay, here's the deal. Every day I get to ask you one question and you have to answer it. And it's just, and but I never ask him questions. So it's like once a week that I actually ask him a question. But that's the deal. That's the agreement that we have. So when people are shouting at me because they don't have their toys, I kind of just shrug and go, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do, man. Like I didn't ask my question this week. We'll get them to you. I'm trying.
Yeah. No, and that's, I got to commend you on that, Adam. I know I've had a couple questions and I've reached out, very responsive, and knowing that you do it from, you know, the side there, that you're just doing it to help the line and the product, and the community, just goes to echo the type of person you are. So that's awesome. And I myself, 100%. I know you get frustrated, and well, maybe you don't necessarily get frustrated, but I see the chats sometimes in the different Facebook groups, and you know, I don't think you get enough credit for what you're doing. Just
not nearly
genuine appreciation of the line.
I'm going to stop you and tell you this. I don't need credit. I don't want credit. I want everybody to get the action figures because they're awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I agree. Want.
Well said.
But thank you for what you're doing. Regardless whether you want to hear it or not, Adam, I'm going to say thanks.
Somebody in the comments said I got an order that's pending from whenever. If you've sent me an email, it's on its way. It's coming. We're honestly down to like the last few things to tidy up, and it's taken way longer than I wanted it to, but it is what it is. So,
well, just so you know, on Monday, I'm going to go over on the side here. I'm going to have my AI bots generate like 1,000 mass emails on Monday to ask about order 1, 2, 3, 4, and just keep counting. So you get those, since you're staring at those beautiful pictures next to us. And that's going to be my form of a super kick to you. It's going to be those thousands of emails.
You don't even need to do that. You don't need to do. Didn't you just hear that there's a massive sale on Monday, Labor Day sale?
And then everybody should follow up to confirm that the order was received.
No, for real, like, yeah, I think the lesson here, as far as the topic of indie toys, is that really, like, folks are truly DIYing this thing and learning along the way. As Jason said, really early on, he was real clear about it. He's like, yeah, I did a Kickstarter. I created this thing. That's where my brain was. I created this thing and planned this campaign, but didn't necessarily think about the fulfillment part of it. So, I mean, and that's just kind of how these things go.
And just to kind of piggyback off that, right? Like, I think I thought about it in different ways, right? Like, he went about it in a campaign and some of those other items, right? Having those things prepped up, having videos, you know, not asking your buddy to do something in a state, you know, in a whole different country than what he lives, and, you know, taking some stuff off display and recording them in the hotel room like the awesome Mega J did. But like, you know, for me, I thought about all of that. How am I going to produce these? How am I going to deliver them? How can I, you know, and I being systematic and analytical as my day job, I've already got everything on the back end systematically lined up so that I can do that with ease and not running into the issues there, or hopefully not run into any issues. But obviously my presentation on the Kickstarter definitely suffered, right? Because I didn't have those ducks in a row. So there's so much to learn. So for those that are asking about how do I get this to get to a Kickstarter, there's so much to it. My recommendation would be to hold some things closer to your chest. Don't necessarily come out screaming at the rooftop like I did, ready to run before you learned how to crawl. Because if I had taken my time a little bit more, I think I would have been able to prepare a little bit better. So I think that's one thing that folks definitely look at me as an example and know. And again, I'm not delivering a toy, I'm delivering an accessory line. So it's a different beast altogether, but it still kind of follows the same concept, right? Like prep and set up and then go.
But like you've said, no matter what happens, it's not going to go anywhere, right? Like,
we're coming.
Whether this funds, whether it doesn't, you will find a way.
Kayla?
And what did Kayla Silva do?
No, I want Kayla to pick up Travis's comment.
What's that?
Never mind.
Oh, was it just his? I thought you were talking about Ken's. Whether it comes or not, it'll fund.
That's
Travis,
what she said?
Travis, your reply was
it I'm coming or it's coming? We're coming?
You guys. All right. We're all losing our collective minds here.
Sorry, Jay. Sorry.
It's only 3:30
night stream.
Like we're still talking about indie toys. Like, what the hell are we doing here? You guys are fucking crazy.
I blame Michael Scott for all of that.
Oh, guys, please support the
I'm wearing Dunder Mifflin socks.
That's what they said. Apparently, Silver Kit has rubbed off on all of us, and
that's what she said.
I can't
with
believe
an exclamation point on rub.
That's all what they said.
This is an episode of Mad. It's Mega J After Dark.
Mega J After Dark. Guys, definitely please support HexaStack on Kickstarter. Whether this goes through or not, it was a learning experience for Travis, and you know what? I think we can take a lot of lessons from this. It's always difficult for independent creators to get a foothold on anything, and I applaud the efforts of all those who have attempted this. As we know, Spero Toys failed the first time, so he bounced back. He came back, and look at where they are now. Very, 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 very excited for the next toy line. Delta-17 is not doing a Kickstarter. They are going on their own. But I got to tell you, the line is exciting. You can check out the website, which another moron did by himself, and basically. Don't criticize that idiot too hard. He worked very hard on that one.
Yeah, we're gonna hire that idiot to help us with the comic as well. So
which was gonna be great. I'm looking very. He's really looking forward to reading those comics. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Guys, in all seriousness, though, I really want to thank all my special guests who have been here tonight. You guys are freaking amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here. Travis, you want to give us one last shot? And brother, I'm doing my best here, bro.
No, you're, dude. Let me first thank everyone. Thank everyone in this stream. I'm sure everyone here has liked or shared, things. Jay, you have been a huge advocate for HexaStack. Oh crap! I just lost my mic.
We can hear you.
Sorry.
You're here. We can hear you. You okay, Travis?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm good. I can hear everybody now. Sorry. So first, I want to say thank you, Jay, for what you've done. HexaStack is my little brainchild that I've come up with. We're 5 months in now since I came up with it. Did the Kickstarter. Got 6 days to go. Love to see it fund. If it doesn't fund, I'm still going to produce these. I've got the printers already in place. I've already gone through and I actually just reconfigured the basement. So I've got the mini factory in house to produce these all in high quality resin prints. The new model is ready to go. So I'm already printing those off as of today and tomorrow. So I'll be filling those and getting those, ready for production and delivery for those that do back this and decide to follow forward, whether it backs or not. So, please go ahead and give it a pledge if it's something you're interested in. And if it's something that you don't feel comfortable pledging, rather purchase directly, I'll see you on the other side of September 8th, regardless. And, give some time. We'll be into injection molding. As I already mentioned, I'm working with Ramen Toys. So reputable known vendor, manufacturer. So we're coming, to fruition, sooner or later. It's not if, it's when. So thank you for your support across the board. I really appreciate it.
Nice.
Jay, you're on mute, buddy. I said apparently Travis is coming all over the place. She really is off on all of us. I mean, that's what they said. Thank you, Travis. Guys, definitely support HexaStack on Kickstarter and in any format that they end up being, because Travis is not stopping here. It's not a question of when. It's not a question of if. It's a question of when. Ken, tell us a little bit more about Delta-17 and what you're working on the coming days.
Yeah, well, first thing I wanted to do is just first of all on the note of Travis there. The thing about the independent toys, there's so much going on out there right now that actually Oz actually approached me and said, hey, there's this guy doing HexaStacks. His name's Mr. Wonderful. His name's Travis. You may want to have him on your show and actually promote the product. And at the time, I think we were writing the bios for Delta-17, and I was working on like a really deep history video at the time, and I kind of went, yeah, sure, Oswald, we'll get to it when we get to it. And I just because there's so much going on, it kind of got lost in the shuffle for about a month, and I was like, huh? What's going on? And then out of nowhere, I think I was on Payne's Toy Samples' channel. And then I think this guy named Travis just jumps in on the StreamYard, trash talks a bunch of wrestling, and then leaves. And then messages me later on and starts talking to me like, oh, you're the HexaStack guy. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because there's so much going on right now that it's hard to keep up in the independent toy space. There's a lot of stuff I just basically fell asleep at the wheel on. As for what I'm actually working on, like we talked a bit about Delta-17, this stuff is dropping in November. We have basically 12 characters. We say 12. There's 11 unique character molds and designs. One of them will come in 2 different ethnicities, and that's going to be our good guy army builder, which is the Delta Squad Trooper, which is right there. So thousands and thousands of figures coming there. In all likelihood, there's no shortage for the market. We believe we've ordered enough. As for what's happening with the channel, I just released a review on the G.I. Joe Classified Valkyries 2-pack recently, so you can check that out. I am not 100% sure which of my videos I'm going to release next week. I know I had a Gridiron video queued up, and I was going to release that, and then all of a sudden the Valkyries arrived, so I kind of just jumped in to try to get that reviewed early. But otherwise, you can find me on Toy Connections, just on YouTube, and Kayla put the link in the chat right there. And then you can find me at Toy Connections on Instagram as well, all one word, if you're looking on Instagram. So, yeah, hit me up. Love talking to the people all the time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ken. Guys, definitely check out Delta17.com. You guys, Delta17Toys.com. My apologies. It's a wonderful upcoming toy line. You guys will not be disappointed. I'm very excited about it. And of course, a lot of people in the O-Ring community are super excited about it. Brick, what are you up to, my friend, and how can people reach you?
So tomorrow I'm gonna be talking with Oz and Eldor about these wonderful indie toys. What one of the from the company Four Horsemen Studios, who I would argue definitely has like pushed this whole indie toy thing to new levels since they've released Mythic Legions. Now we're talking Cosmic Legions. So that's tomorrow night at, geez, I want to say 6:30 Pacific time. And that's going to be over on the Ostradamus Toys channel. But if you're subscribed to mine, I'll put it in the community tab. I know I say that and sometimes don't do it, but I will do it. And then on Sunday, a couple things will happen. There will be a new AWOK Talk recorded video that should premiere on Sunday, while shortly after or before, haven't figured out the timing yet, I'll be over hanging out with Highly Articulated, and I'll let him bring that up in a little bit. And then at 4:30 Pacific on Sunday, I'll be doing the Brick Something News, which has become a new weekly thing. And Silver K, Kayla, will be there. She'll be coming over to, she'll be coming on the Brick Something channel, actually. So you can come hang out and check that out.
Will she?
So you're welcome.
So much is coming. Thank you so much, Silver K. Always can count on her for a zinger at the end of the night. And let's go. Oh my.
BS News, baby.
Thank you, Silver K. So much. And you know what? On that note, guys, definitely go and subscribe to Geek the F Out. We had a great discussion this afternoon on Star Wars, Ahsoka. It was a wonderful discussion, and we none of us could keep. Well, actually, I spoiled everything as I usually do. So yeah, definitely check it out. Watch me trip over myself. It was an amazing evening with Silver K and of course everybody who was there. Guys, definitely check out that episode. Like, comment, and subscribe to Geek the F Out. They're a wonderful channel. Deep dives on everything geek related. You guys are going to enjoy it. So thank you so much.
They go very deep.
Where can people
full penetration?
Stop
too
that.
far,
A
Ken.
little
Stop
too.
Oh my god, that was you went to stopped.
Yeah, so where were we?
Adam, where can people reach you and what are you working on, my friend?
I'm doing my thing. I'm doing the videos. I am doing the open late videos as figures come in. As Brick mentioned, we got an episode of Monkey Business coming up on Sunday. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it will be Animal Warriors of the Kingdom related. I'm replying to your emails, help@sperotoys.com. I will be on the Geek the F Out Ahsoka episode 8 and wrap-up episode with Brick. So we can talk about the Star Wars. And by that point, maybe we will know or maybe we won't know who the Inquisitor is. Because apparently that's the big thing that everybody wants to speculate. Check out HexaStack. Check out SperoToys.com. Check out the indies. There's so many cool figures out there. Just pick one. Pick one line. Grab a figure. Grab a random figure from a line that you're interested in. I don't think you'll be disappointed. That's the big takeaway that I think I want people to get from this, is that you're not making a bad choice by picking an indie. It's not as though, by picking an indie over, a Marvel Legends figure, you're somehow gonna like ruin Hasbro. Pick something different. Try it out. If you don't like it, you don't have to go back, right? So yeah. Check out the small channels too. Check out the, this is another thing. I mean, we're talking about toy lines, but I've got a small channel. There's a lot of really great small channels out there that just need some eyeballs, right? Brick and Brick mentioned Oz. Jay's got tons of subscribers. You'll get it in your feed. Don't worry about that. You'll get Ken's videos in your feed. Step out of your comfort zone. Try a new channel. That's all I got.
Hey,
well, you know what? The
Mine's bigger, Ken.
yeah. It's how you use it. We all know that. It's not the size; it's how you use it.
What is with you guys? I want to do my best to help support smaller channels, and one of the ways I try to do that is to always bring in good, wonderful creators onto the show, and I try my best to bring attention to the topics that we love so much. Guys, definitely check out Break Something. Definitely check out Highly Articulated if you want to know deep dives on independent toys, but as well as anything AWOK related. These two guys are the experts in it right now. They do deep dives on all those types of things. Guys, definitely like, comment, and subscribe to all these wonderful creators here. Travis, of course, check out his HexaStack campaign while it lasts, and after that, please check out his website when he gets it up. And again, some idiot made his video, so don't worry about that. ToyKennections, definitely check out ToyKennections on YouTube. Guys, thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys are the best. Guys, I hope you're all doing well, staying safe. And as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Good journey. Geek proud.